All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Fish and Grits Live. Today is Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. As always, I am Ryan, joined by, on my right, your left, Marco. How you doing today, sir?
Good.
Yeah, I'm sure you got a lot of things that you want to talk about here in a second.
Just uh just the
Just the
normal
weather?
run-of-the-mill things.
Just the weather. Micah on my left, your right. How are you doing today, Senior Hulk Smash?
I'm hype.
Didn't expect that energy, but all right. From henceforth, I'll bring it. Today we're going to talk just a little bit of Hawks. You know, something cool happened this weekend here in the ATL, so we're going to cover that. We're going to talk about the ongoing Lebron drama in the NBA. We'll talk a little football as we talk about the Falcons end OTAs and some of the things we learned from that. And of course, as always, we'll talk some baseball with the Suicide Squeeze. So stick around. We're gonna get in some cool stuff today. But first and foremost, on the fast break here, let me throw a little alley oop off the glass to my man Marco.
You gotta stop catching me off guard without these current events.
Current events, it's kind of boring now. Kind of
The world
boring.
is never boring.
We don't live in Florida, so it's not something crazy happening on a daily basis. So,
You could have talked about
Well, why don't you talk about current events, Mister? I want current events. I don't always have to be the one talking about current events. I don't live in this world alone, Marco.
I don't have any current events, so talk about basketball. So, welcome to the layup, aka the finger roll, aka jelly time, aka points in the paint. And as usual, right now we're in the thick of basketball talk and happenings right now with the NBA.
Not typically here in Atlanta, though.
True that. So basically what we're gonna do is first we're gonna talk about some just common news around the association, and we're gonna get into a little bit of the playoff discussions of what happened to conclude round 2 and going into this round 3. It's crazy to think that as much as the work as the Hawks have done, they're only halfway through what they would need to do to win a championship.
That's crazy, man.
You got to win so many games to win an NBA championship. But so yeah, round 3. Then we're going to talk about these coming up matchups. The one that's already occurring that is going to be game 2 tonight, and then we're just going to get into some straight up Hawks talk, which is I know what y'all all want to hear. But so what we're going to start with is Bronny, which you sort of hinted at in the beginning. Let me bring the rundown over to my new window. Put your hand. Here we go. Bring that here. All right, now we're all ready to go. Okay, so I wanted to, last week, LeBron sort of made a point that went pretty national about him disagreeing with Adam Silver, sort of rushing this season. And I'll go ahead and just read what he said, and then I want y'all to sort of react to it and tell me how much of this do you think is factual. So he said, they all didn't want to listen to me. As usual, it's all about LeBron. It's all about listening to him because he was the only one saying this, right? They all didn't want to listen to me about the start of the season. I knew exactly what would happen. I only wanted to protect the well-being of the players, which ultimately is the product and benefit of our game. These injuries isn't just part of the game. It's a lack of pure rim rest. I think he meant REM rest.
No, rim rest, like rest from getting away from basketball. Because I thought the same thing, too.
Pure rim rest?
Yeah, like getting away from...
Okay. Pure rim rest. Okay. Rim rest. So he said rest. Before starting back up, 8, possibly 9 All-Stars has missed playoff games, most in league history. They is the best This is the best time of the year for our league and fans, but missing a ton of our fave players, it's insane. If there's one person that you know about the body and how it works, especially with steroids, all year round, it's me. I speak for the health of all of our players and I hate to see this many injuries this time of year. Sorry, fans. Wish you guys were seeing all your favorite guys right now. So I just want to, before I get to y'all, I want to just give my opinion to this real quick. What this seems like is he's apologizing to his fans for himself not being there. Because if you think about it, who else is really missing? Steph didn't even make the playoffs. Yeah, Kawhi got hurt. And then other than that, it's just that Nets team where, they all imploded on each other. So do y'all agree with what LeBron James is saying here? Or is he just, once again, trying to take the high spot of attention and have everybody discuss LeBron James and what he thinks is best?
Ooh, pick me.
Ryan.
So first and foremost, let me move this to the forefront so people can see that. Everyone knows that I'm probably the biggest. I'm not a LeBron fan, but I tend to support the things he does. This is one of the things that I don't. This
is a trend here. I feel like you haven't supported LeBron in the last couple of points he's had.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and when we get further into this topic and all that, let me take my glasses off so I don't look like I have a blue laser across my eyes. Even though it would be cool to be an X-Man.
Yeah, I was thinking about to say
like an anime character.
Right. In a dark room.
The more mad I get, I should just turn it to red.
And just type on your keyboard really hard.
So yeah, one, shut up. You're not in the playoffs right now. Stop trying to draw attention away from the people that are in the playoffs right now. Like, I get it. It's been quite some time that you haven't made it this far into the playoffs. It's actually the first time ever. So it's a little weird for you. And I know this was a different season, and I know you did say that at the beginning of the season, but the injuries that have happened here in the playoffs, man, look, like Kyrie landed on someone's foot. That's not due to the fact that, he didn't get enough rest this offseason. He actually did. James Harden, bad hamstring. Okay, yeah, he played a little bit deeper, but like Marco and I were talking about the other day, he came to camp overweight. Like he didn't condition right. Chris Paul, I mean, that's COVID. Like, we can't really do anything about that. Kawhi,
Chris Paul always gets hurt. So
yeah, exactly. Chris Paul walks out the door and gets attacked by killer bees. He breaks his right arm while running away from killer bees because they were flung into his home and his home only because of a tornado in another state. It's like Chris Paul's injuries don't make sense, like how he gets hurt and the frequency.
They're like State Farm commercials.
Yeah, exactly. It's like maybe you should stop doing those commercials. But I mean, a lot of these things that happen aren't because they didn't get rest. It's because injuries happen. They're playing sports. They're big guys. They're finely tuned athletes, and they're running as fast as they possibly can. It happens. Like, you don't say track athlete. You don't go out there and be like, oh, track athletes did this because they didn't get enough rest. I mean, they back to back in some of these meets. Mm-hmm. Like, it just happens, man. And when they blow a tire when they're, coming out of the blocks, they go, well, it happens sometimes. Like, it just sucks. And I want him to shut up because he's cheapening these playoffs and he's cheapening the championship for whoever wins it. And it just is really, really whack. And it's all about, look at me, guys, and quit it.
All right. So I'll say this. He's a sore loser. He knows that playoff performance plays a large portion of his legacy, and it hurt his argument for greatest of all time. And so now it's like just throw the whole baby out with the bathwater, essentially. Yeah, you can't trust it because I told you what was going to happen. Well, look at it this way, LeBron. If they didn't come back for the bubble last year just so you could have a shot to win a championship, everybody would be rested. So the same reason you got the championship and now you're complaining about it. Well, guess what? If they never did the bubble, you never have the chance. You never have that fifth championship or however many championships. I've lost track. But I mean, you can't have it one way. You can't have it your way in one aspect and not in another. The league doesn't revolve just around you. There are so many other players in this league that are affected. They can't just cater to what you want to do. So bro, I'm just tired. I'm tired of the whining and complaining. Like, bro, yes, you are the face of the league, but you are not the league. You don't speak for the league, because guess what? There are plenty other players who are playing. Like right now, the Hawks right now, they've had injuries, but guess they're not complaining about it because they've made it farther than anybody expected. Oh, so what, you trying to cheapen the fact that they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals because some teams got injuries because of the bubble? I mean, that's garbage.
He and
bro.
The rest of the media are with the Hawks.
Yeah,
it's like, bro, like get out of here, bro. And especially as Hawks fans, we've waited a long time to see something like this happen. So the fact that you're trying to poke holes in all of it, like, bro, that's disrespectful and makes me like you even less, bro.
Yeah, he always steps up to the plate and tries to like make sweeping statements and act as if he's some spokesperson for the league. When meanwhile, the dude who is actually the spokesperson, his team's still in the playoffs. So it's like, I bet Chris Paul's not going to sit here and complain about, especially with his team probably about to, we'll get into that. But I just want, like Ryan said, players get hurt. A lot of times it's incidental. It has nothing to do with necessarily like, the stress of not being able. I think if he would have said, yeah, the regular season was semi-impacted by the fact that players, especially the Heat and the Lakers, didn't get the adequate rest. But to frame it in a way where like, oh yeah, the fans are suffering because they don't get to see me and AD get all the calls from the referees all the way to the finals. Yeah, right, LeBron. Like, I don't know how much longer his reign at the top is going to last, but, I appreciate it for what it is, but I'll be sort of happy when this year, when we get a new blood in the seat, like we don't have to see Steph Curry and LeBron James 5 years in a row playing for titles, or KD jumping on the ship, or, we don't have to see any of these guys who all they want to do is go start super teams and join justice leagues. And you know what I mean? We don't have to see any of that this year. Well, so it's a reprieve.
One more thing I just want to say, like, one of the things that frustrates me the most is, like I said, it's all about his legacy. Anything that impacts his legacy in the negative, he has to take shots at it. And, it's like, bro, like the whole, like he's trying so hard to seemingly build up his legacy. Like the whole getting poked in the eye against Golden State. I saw 3 rims. Mm-hmm. Like, bro, what are you trying to mythologize your what's the word? Mythologize your own self. Man, I got poked in the eye. I couldn't see. I was blinded. I just threw the ball up and nothing but net. And it's like, bro, you want to create. You're trying to create like your own flu game, your own like story. Like, bro, stop trying so hard. If it happens, it happens. But like, stop trying to like poop on everything that's not building your legacy. I mean, it is what it is, bro.
Speaking of flu games, I thought it was funny that they're not going to let Chris Paul be great and have his flu game moment. They're making him stay at home and do TikToks with his kids instead.
COVID's a little different than the flu, though.
Quite a bit different.
Have his COVID moment. So anyway, the other thing about LeBron was that today, while I was looking for this, tweet to read to y'all, I actually came across another one that he tweeted today, and I found out what it was. So he said, "Never thought I'd be talking from this perspective, but I'm not really sure what else you expected when the higher-ups have all come together as a collective with conspiracies to end my run and send me a message." So at first I was like, what does this mean? But then I found out it's a Drake lyric, so obviously I wouldn't have known where that was from.
I'm too cool for Drake.
Definitely. And then so the quote was I think LeBron, so basically this was a response to Magic Johnson, because I guess they interviewed him today. And I guess, I'll read the quote, but to sum up what he was saying, he was basically saying LeBron better watch out because KD is on his heels. Which is funny that those are his two choices when neither of them are still in the playoffs. Like it's But anyway, he said, I think LeBron's got one more year to be the man, and then it's Kevin Durant's league right after that. So yeah, that his response was some Drake lyrics, which seems very apropos to who LeBron is. So that's all. Unless y'all got anything else to add about Kang, I'm gonna move on to the next. On to the next one. On to the next one. Hey, that was appropriate for the Brooklyn thing. Anyway, so in other news, in general NBA news, something that we all I don't know if the younger people know about the Harlem Globetrotters, but it's something that, it was even probably like even when we were young, it was already old. I mean, I know they had the Hanna-Barbera cartoon that I saw a lot. But so the Harlem Globetrotters have made the news today, and the Hershend Family Entertainment is requesting that the NBA let the showmen into the league as a proper team. Now, there's a lot of issues with this. I'm going to keep reading what it says here. The ownership released a statement saying, based on what we've already proven, which I don't know what the hell they've proven, an open letter to the Globetrotters, from the Globetrotters to the NBA reads, we can field a team of talent on par with the pros of today. We want the chance to do that. As the world-renowned and legendary professional basketball team, I'll give them that, we petition NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, the NBA governors, and the powers that be to grant the original Harlem Globetrotters an NBA franchise. Not now, but right now. So does that mean like Curly and all of them are going to play?
Here's the funny thing. So I have a very good friend who worked for the Globetrotters, and she traveled with the Globetrotters. Apparently, they have multiple teams. They have.
Yeah, and I'm aware of that. I know the kind of thing that they get. They're almost like I don't want to say a sideshow, but like it's like the circus, the way that they sort of present their thing.
Yeah. I mean, but they have teams per region. So like they got a team for the Northeast, one for the Southeast, one for So,
okay, so there's region. So every region has its own unique Harlem Globetrotter team. Do they play each other or?
No.
Do they have what is it called, the what is the team that they would always beat?
Oh,
the Colonels or the?
I think it is the Colonels. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Harvey, who is it? Fill us in.
Right, Harvey,
You've been around long enough to
don't hold
this.
out on this information.
But yeah. I mean, but that's the thing. Now, do I think this is a joke? I don't know. They might be serious, but or maybe it's just a jab at the NBA, like the league is a joke now. I don't know. But,
well, I didn't necessarily ask if it was a joke. I just
the
wanted
Washington
to,
Generals. That's who it was.
That's who it was. Okay, yeah, the Washington Generals. But I mean, I don't want to knock them and say this is all just some joke, but I think that there's so many things to consider as to how that would work, first of all. And what they're asking for doesn't seem feasible because, first of all, there's a buy-in number associated with owning a team. You don't just get what do they mean? Like, they're going to get their own talent pool? What talent pool are they pulling from? Like,
probably
don't all basketball players come from the same talent pool?
Well, no, they probably pull from their teams. Which I mean, but my thing is not necessarily that it's like, bruh, first of all, there's 30 teams in the NBA right now. So for you to add a team, you'd make it 31, which would make it uneven, which would actually change some things as far as like seeding and stuff would go.
Just for a little bit of context, Adam Silver did indicate about 2 weeks ago that they are looking to add 2 more teams to the league.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that wasn't one of the markets they were looking at getting into. The semi-pro market.
Ryan, what do you think about all this?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, it's hard to read. It's hard to decide if it's real or not. expansion would be cool, but the NBA is one of those leagues where it's like you have just enough talent to where you can almost have a good player on every team. Some teams are going to have the elite talent on their teams. Like, even if you took the best 32 players on the teams and spread it out evenly, and then, did it after that, you ranked everybody 1 to 970, whatever it is, or like 1,000. It's a little under 1,100. Like, if you ranked them that way, and then just literally did it in order, did like a snake style draft, the third and fourth, fifth best players in those teams are still going to be really just okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a league where you can, introduce more teams and just be like, oh, there's going to be another competent team. There's just not that type of talent in the NBA world or in the basketball world. Like, there's some really, 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 really good talent that is overseas. There's some really, really good talent that is undrafted. There's some really good talent coming in the league in the NBA, like through the college ranks. But there's not going to be enough to field two teams and make them like a really competent roster. You look at the Hornets. It took them this long. They got LaMelo finally, but they had some good players on their teams for all that time. You just go look at the Magic now. They're not a good team.
Right. But they had. Within their first decade of existing, the Charlotte Hornets and the Orlando Magic were both very good teams.
Right, but that's because the league was smaller then too. It was 28 teams. No,
the last added teams were the Bobcats.
Yeah,
and the
Pelicans. It was two less. So you're taking 26 players, 30 players, roughly, and then pushing those to other teams. So it's just the more you spread out the talent in the NBA, the worse. You're not going to have as much talent on as many teams. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I do think there's the problem with the super teams is still going to arise, because it's like players are taking their fates in their own hands. So they're still all going to gather on all the good teams, and you're going to be left with a handful of good teams and a handful of mediocre or just bad teams.
I think y'all are missing one of the biggest questions here, though. Do y'all really think a team assembled of current Globetrotters could compete with even the worst NBA team?
I don't know, because I would have to actually see the guys play. I
don't think I need to.
well, no. Here's the thing. I will say this now. Say and one decided to try to put a team in. And one back in the day, now granted, they had no rules whatsoever, but you saw one or two of them, like Rayford Alston, come in the league and actually be a good player. Some of them were good players. They just, they had one or two small things as the reason that they were a little undersized or something like that. And that's part of the reason they didn't make it. But,
Rayford was literally the only one.
Yeah. But a lot of them didn't play defense. A lot of them weren't great shooters, but things like shooting can be worked on. But like I said, some of them had
Ben Simmons.
I was just about to say.
But some of them had flaws that could have been corrected. They just, I guess they found the and one route, and they made enough money that they didn't have to go in the gym and necessarily work. They could still get paid good money to play basketball and whatnot. I think if say Professor, if he wanted to, he probably could put enough work and time and work in his game when he was younger and could have made it to the NBA. But
I think he even said that. You're muted, Ryan. You're muted.
So that's a lot of faith in Professor there, Micah.
Right. Well, no. He said, but I know he said he wasn't the best player coming out of college when he first got started. But if he was where he was in his mid-20s, and like I said, he was a good player, but could he have been a bench? Could he come on the bench? Because some of those guys I think could play at the level of Chris Dunn, and he's on a bench. So I mean, that's my point. Not
Chris Dunn was a
necessarily
freak. It was not a freak athlete, but an extraordinary athlete.
yeah, but I mean, some of those guys were an extraordinary athlete, dude. 50, you had a 50-inch vertical guy, and
in agreement with you, partially. I will say that obviously a lot of the reasons people don't make it to the NBA aren't just because of their talent. Sometimes it's because they get into trouble. Sometimes they didn't have the grades. Sometimes they just didn't get the right opportunities, So, I mean, I understand there are people not in the league who could probably play with NBA players. But at the same time, I would find it hard to believe that you would be able to assemble a group of guys outside of the normal pool of talent that the NBA draws from and somehow be able to be competitive. But
I agree. I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah. So, moving on to the playoff talk. Basically what's been going on. The second round ended. We already talked about the Suns sweeping the Nuggets in the last episode. The other thing that happened since then was the Clippers Jazz series ended in 6, surprisingly to me, in 6. And before we move on to this Western Conference series, just give me y'all's thoughts real quick about what y'all saw from PG and why maybe he was able to look so much better than he has as long as he's played with Kawhi by himself, leading that team, leading his squad past LA Clippers, and what maybe it is that you saw that maybe led to that against the Jazz. I mean,
I think with Kawhi, when Kawhi went out, there went the expectations for the Clippers, and there went a lot of the pressure on PG. And we've seen that when PG has pressure on him, it doesn't typically do too hot. Just like when he was in Indiana, they were a good team. They were a very, very good team, but no one expected them to be great. When he teamed up with Westbrook, there was some expectations, but this was before people thought like Westbrook was like, okay, this guy's, never going to be like a great player, or, he's never going to lead a team to a championship. Before that became the narrative with him. And then, PG MVP talks came around, and that's when he hit the playoffs and playoff P started.
The era.
Yeah, the era of playoff P. And then he went to the Clippers, and, the expectations were still there and probably exponentially higher because you just teamed up with a guy who just won a championship. Mm-hmm. So you saw that, and he continued to be playoff P. So as soon as Kawhi left, all that went out the window, and you saw PG relax. You saw him get back into his flow and start to take those shots that he was typically afraid to take, or you saw him in his head thinking about it. And also another thing is the ball was in his hands more. So you put Paul George, like the one that we knew who he was before all this, back into his comfort zone with all this. And you saw his play skyrocket because of that. So I think he's a guy, and even when you hear him talk, like that whole thing with Devin Booker, like if you hear his interview talking about how Devin Booker called him a soft ass, just his response, like one, he was talking like this, like he was not looking at the camera, and he's like, man, people talk, and there's just a lot of talk, and then I don't really respond to that, and people's mouth keep moving. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
When did Booker call it? In game 1 he called him that?
No, this was during the regular season when.
Okay, I remember that. Then. I remember that.
So, yeah, Paul's a different type of guy. Like, he's just real chill. He doesn't like all this type of stuff. And when that spotlight hits him, he's like, I'm good.
Yeah. Pressure burst pipes. Yeah, like I said, I agree with Ryan. I think a lot of the pressure because like you said, there's no expectations. Everybody expected them to lose to the Jazz once once Kawhi got hurt, and so nobody's like really expecting him to do. So now he's playing with house money. Anything they do is up and up. Even like now, the Western Conference Finals. If they lose, then you can legitimately say, they lost Kawhi. They didn't have enough to beat this talented Suns team, so on and so forth. If they win, you go to the finals without Kawhi. Now, granted, that brings a whole nother level of pressure on him because, it's the finals. It's no longer you did a lot to get there. So, but I mean, like Ryan said, I think a lot of that pressure got lifted off of him because nobody's expecting him to no. Like, I don't even know if anybody really was talking about him. Oh, can he carry this team? It's just like, no, Utah's going to lose this series. I mean, Utah's going to win this series. And it was just like, all right. And he just came out and balled out. And they had a few other guys step up. Like Marcus Morris has been loving it because it's like, man, I get to take Kawhi's number of shots. Sweet.
I thought you were going to bring up Terrence.
Oh, yeah, Terrence
the man.
A lot. And that's another thing. I think, I guess Kawhi maybe intimidates some of those other guys, and they feel like they have to defer to him in situations like that one game where Terrence Mann drives the lane, has a layup,
misses
and
it.
kicks back to Kawhi to try to finish it. And it's like, bro, you had the layup. I mean,
I thought you were talking about the game winner where Batum misses and then Mann gets the rebound and then he misses too.
No. There was this. He drove down the left side of the lane and goes up like he's about to shoot the layup, and instead just kind of dumps it back to Kawhi.
He Ben Simmons'd it.
Yeah, Kawhi misses it off the back iron, and it was just like, bruh, like, bruh, you were literally all you had to do was finish. That's it.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with both things you said. Like, I think that there's something about Kawhi, and I want to say that I don't think Ty Lue's necessarily a good coach. I think he's a better version of Doc Rivers, where you're gonna still get that street ball kind of aesthetic, where like the guys just sort of have to figure it out. But I feel like when Kawhi is on the court, I don't know if he feels pressure. I don't know if it's just like he becomes almost like a black hole, and I feel like everything around them loses its rhythm and its flow. Like the ball doesn't move properly. PG doesn't get to play the point forward that he usually likes to play. And he devolves to just like catching it in the corner and trying to dribble and take bad shots. And then Kawhi just bullies himself in there. And I think that the offense just flows a lot smoother when Kawhi is not there. And that's not to say they're a better team, but what you notice is that when you think that they'd be better with Kawhi and Paul George together, but they're always chasing. Like they're always down, they're always behind, they're always trying to make up and come back, but they handled Utah pretty well. They were down 25, just like we were, and came back. So, it's funny though. Like at a certain point, you got to start looking at NBA defenses when teams are down 25, 26 points and come back and win games.
I don't know. Like, I've never understood that, and like that happens at all levels with basketball. Honestly, like basketball. I mean, as they say, it's a game of runs, but like holding a big lead in basketball is one of the hardest sports to do it in. And I've never understood what exactly it is in basketball. I mean, I know it's a law of averages. If you come out and shoot 75% in the first quarter as a team, you're probably going to shoot around 20%, 10% in the teens to balance it back out. Like if the first half you're way off the charts, you're going to come down and be way up below the charts 99 times out of 100. There's a few games where you'll just come out and just light it up the whole game. Yeah. But that's why you saw Seth Curry kind of, he played pretty good in Game 7, but he didn't shoot like he did.
That's because Herter was MVP in it, locking him down.
Unless you're Bogey, then God.
Hey, we'll talk about Bogey and his knee issues. But yeah, I think like you're saying, the reason that happens is the way, because back in the day, if you have a Shaq on your team, you're not blowing a 25-point lead. You know what I mean? But these days, everybody is so, and we saw it so much when Bud coached our team, that even if you have a lead, and the Golden State did this a lot of times too. It's like you have a big ass lead and you want to still come in here and chuck up threes. You'll have 4 or 5 possessions in a row with a double digit lead chucking up threes. And all of a sudden the other team hits 2 or 3 threes in a row and they're right back in the game. You know what I mean? Whereas back, like you're supposed to feed, like, even though Joel started having his hands on his knees in those moments, like I feel like and then obviously Rudy Gobert can't do it, but Utah's that type of team. They were a 3 launching team. You know what I mean? And, you know, so them blowing that lead makes a little bit more sense than Sixers blowing that lead. But we saw how it happened. It was just, you know, Embiid had his hands on his knees and his shoulders. And it just devolved. So anyway, going on to the Western Conference Finals that's going on now. So for game 1, oh my God. For game 1 of the
did you space out?
No, I was like, why is the game not on my screen right now? And I'm like,
what am I doing with my life?
What is going on here? Why is ESPN always such a terrible channel? But
you know why.
So the Western Conference Finals has started. Game 1 occurred. Phoenix. So you can almost say that it's even though clearly I think Phoenix has a more talented team, better rounded defensively and all that. But the Clippers are down Kawhi, and the Phoenix is down their probable MVP, Chris Paul, COVID Chris. So basically, they came into game 1 and they handled that. They handled that ass. Like it was competitive for the first 3 quarters and even through the 4th, but they pulled away late. Let's see what kind of. So D-Book had his first career triple-double, posting
balled out
40 points, 11 assists, 13 rebounds, shooting 51% from the field, 42 from 3, that's way above his 3-point average. Stephen A. even went as far as to say Devin Booker is the next Kobe Bryant. I don't think Kobe ever shot 40% from 3 ever. So let's see. They will face the Clippers tonight. So they're placing them tonight, which I'm trying to find this game, but it's not on my screen. So I don't know. It comes
on at 9 because the draft lottery
is at 9
now. Yeah, remember the draft lottery.
Okay. That's what I'm missing.
Okay.
So we'll be able to tell you this draft lottery by the end of this segment, probably.
Do we have a chance to get a lottery pick?
No, bro. What are you talking about?
Well, no. I'm talking. I thought we with trades. Yeah, I thought we might have traded with somebody.
Nope.
No, sir.
Like maybe one of those Thunder picks.
We're on. Thunders protect all their picks, believe me. So what do y'all think is going to happen with the rest of this series? I'll just go ahead and I think this will probably be a sweep. But what do y'all think is going to happen with this Clippers Sun series?
I think gentlemen sweep. I think Clippers will still 1 game and Suns will just take care of business.
If Chris Paul comes back after game 2, it'll probably be at most 4-2. I think the Clippers run out of gas here. I think it's a sweep more than likely, just because unless like I am a huge Terrence Mann fan. He did a ton for us at Florida State. He's a great player, and this is not an anomaly in his career. It's not like he's just like got hot. This isn't Tyler Hero. He's not going to come back to earth. Like this man was a top 20 prospect in the country coming in. Like he's very, very good.
Hey, so is Tyler Hero.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. That is true. You're right. I think just because Tyler Hero went to Kentucky, like if Terrence Mann were to come out of like Duke, North Carolina, or like Kentucky, he would have got a lot more hype than he did. Because even though we've been a very good basketball school the last couple of years, we still aren't viewed as like a basketball factory yet. If he, we continue to recruit that way, yeah, for sure. But I just don't trust Reggie Jackson still. So I'm gonna say 4-1 at most. Yeah.
But you saw how upset he was that Jay Crowder was coming over there to guard him. He was like, "Oh man."
Lockdown. Jay Crowder's a beast.
LeBron called him stinky. So we're all pretty much thinking the Suns are heavily favored and in God's graces, and we'll make it to the NBA Finals. So book it. Get it.
Ah.
So anyway, moving on. Speaking of another team that did not quite make it, they were actually a KD size. What was he? A size 14? They said if he were a size 13
No, it
and a half,
was 18.
size 16.
I thought we saw this.
Yeah, he was like a 17 or 18.
So if he was half a size
18.
smaller, they would have that would have been one of the greatest game winners of all time. But instead, it was a game tire. They went to overtime. KD, after playing 53 minutes after coming back from Achilles surgery, guys, unreal. He played 53. James Harden, I think, played like 50 plus minutes. But offered absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, in that overtime, when the only person who scored was Bruce Brown, I remember one of the last plays of the game, the two players who couldn't offer anything, Joe Harris and James Harden, went and stood in the corner as if to say, don't pass it to either of us. They're like standing together. I was like, what are y'all doing? Like, your spacing is terrible. But anyway, KD could not find a good shot in that overtime, and he even ended up airballing a potential game tire again because his foot was on the line.
Very, very, very poor shot choice.
Yeah, it was like, bro, you're 7 foot. Like, go get in the Jordan Kawhi spot and take a jumper, bro. No one can guard you. But he did just get blocked by Brook Lopez like a couple possessions before on a lazy layup attempt. But obviously his legs were fried. But no excuse. Chris Middleton also played 54 minutes and hit a game winner on the other side. So, but it was a good shot. It was a mid-range shot. So I just want y'all to real quick, before we get into the series that Milwaukee is going to move into. What do y'all think of this Brooklyn Nets team? Like, how big of a disappointment was this? It was even, this team was probably higher than any other super team ever put together in terms of its unfairness. But how disappointing is it that they could not bring home the bacon?
I'm going to go like 3 out of 10 simply because of injuries. Like, it's not like they were fully staffed and they just collapsed. Like, it was unfortunate, you know. KD was hurt most of the regular season. Well, hurt. Once that Harden hamstring injury hit, it was a little different. And then that Kyrie injury in the playoffs, people as soon as it happened, you know, all three of us were like, it's over. Then KD, you know, put the whole team on his back and carried him to 7, but or 6. Was this game 7?
The 7.
Okay, yeah. So, you know, KD by himself extended the series 2 or 3 games further than it should have been. So it's not that disappointing. You know, it's disappointing in the sense that they weren't healthy to, you know, play the Bucks. But as far as a disappointment of a team, very low on my scale.
Yeah, I say the same thing. Like maybe a 4. Just because, like you said, injuries. The guys that they leaned on, that part of the reason they made it so far in the first place, they made it to that point, was because Kyrie, KD, and James Harden could put up huge numbers against folks. And then you lose Harden to the hamstring, and then Kyrie gets a high ankle sprain, and Harden has to come back with a bad hamstring pull or whatever it was, and play still injured. So I mean, so he was just only a fraction of himself. I mean, at a certain point, it was like, why are you even out there, bro? You can't play defense. You can't shoot. You can't take anybody off the dribble, bro. Like, literally, all you're doing is just standing there passing the ball. It's like the old man at the gym that, like, legit, he just dribble. All right, there you go. Take a shot. Just hands it into the big dude. Just feeds the big dude and just stands back. Yep. Look at, like, bro. You're pointless. You're pointless on the floor. So, yeah, I just think the injuries if they didn't get injured, then it could have been a completely different series. But the injuries, that's why I don't think it's that disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree because it's almost like it's disappointing in the sense that they sort of picked a cast of guys who have been unreliable as of late with injuries, I guess, like especially Kyrie. I mean, it's funny that KD ended up being the one who was not unreliable, but it's almost like they put together a cast of guys who was bound to get hurt. So yeah, maybe it's not that disappointing. Real quick, I heard something that Gary Payton said today, and I found it a bit interesting. But he said that because they were talking about the hand check rule and how basically he's talking about how Dame is his guy because they both from Oakland. And he said he would like try to pressure Dame full court and all this. But basically what he was saying that the hand checking rule, besides the fact that in his day they conditioned different, like they practiced more and they were very serious about their strength and conditioning, which he said that it's not so much the case these days. He said that hand checking actually kept guards healthier because they weren't able to just fly down the lane and put themselves in positions where they're flying at the rim and landing awkwardly or landing on people's ankles. He pointed out Donovan Mitchell going towards the end of the season. He pointed out Jamal Murray. I mean, he obviously hurt his knee trying to explode to the basket. And he even mentioned that when he played with D-Wade in the first couple of years, he was like D-Wade would always explode to the basket and then always end up on the floor. And he was like, D-Wade, you got to, in order if you want to prolong your career, you need to stop hitting the floor. And he was like, Gary, I'm hurting, man. I had to, he had to be in ice baths like all night and do so much therapy. But do you think he has a point there?
Yeah, I think he does. I mean, when you're falling on the ground as much as a football player in basketball, and it's not grass. You're not landing on something soft like grass or turf. You're landing on a hard wood floor. Not to mention you don't have as many pads on and everything. So like, think about that. You're jumping on like to dunk almost 10 feet. You're a few feet off the ground and falling out of the sky and landing. It hurts. It hurts every time. You get beat up. You get beat up quickly. And it's a lot of guards, and not to mention, like you said, I think a lot of they're not as stringent with the conditioning. And then you add some of the influence like the European stuff with the Euro steps. So you're taking these awkward steps. You're not as in great a shape, and you're hitting the ground. So you get a lot of wear and tear on your body that you probably wouldn't have gotten back in the day.
I don't know, man. That feels a little anecdotal to me. I get why he would say that. Like, you can build a case off of, like, oh, you don't get to fly into the lane and all that type of stuff. But players are taking a lot more jump shots now than they are driving the lane. Guards don't drive to the basket. Like, there's a few guys that do. But, I mean, your guards are out at the perimeter most of the time. They're shooting more. And plus, the NBA just announced, like, earlier this year that this is one of the lowest injury rates for any season. So,
I mean, they would say that though.
But I mean, it's supported by evidence, though.
Well, I think he's more so referring to certain types of guards.
No, I mean he's saying that because there's no hand checking, they're allowed to fly into the lane. They're going to get hurt more at the guard position, which just isn't true. It's anecdotal. He thinks because they're not doing that, injuries that they're getting injured more, which just.
But I semi agree with him though, because
hold on, but Stephon Marbury was banging in the paint still. Like, take it back before that. Like, guards were flying into the paint still then.
Well, but
players,
go ahead.
Players were slower. Like when you had an elite guard out there who was faster, they're getting by the guy that's Jeff Hornacek wasn't clamping you down at the perimeter. Sorry, it's just
he did a decent job.
He's okay.
Well, but you also had another threat back then. You had the dominant big man who would enforce the paint, so which would encourage guards not to go in there as much,
Right.
as well.
So you're less likely to go to the paint.
But nowadays, I mean, Jamal Murray. Think about how much the pick and roll and Jamal Murray goes to the basket. Yeah, Trey goes to the basket a lot. Now, granted, he settles for the floater a lot, but
even Trey's injury was because he had such a quick straight line to the basket, took a floater and landed on someone's ankle. It's almost like when a defender is not attached to you, and I know this just because, I mean, you know this too because you rolled your ankle all the time, but when someone is not the man on you and like say they come to contest you, you know what I mean? There's a good chance that you might land on their foot. There's a good chance that you might
land on your ass or back, yeah.
Right, especially if you're flying because, you got right past your defender. You never – not everyone's Luka where they get past their defender at like 1 mile an hour.
Well, I was about to say, I don't think you knew my game too well. I was never flying by anybody off the dribble.
I mean, I'm just saying, that a person out of position is easy to land on their foot. And I mean, so I semi-agree with what he said. But
yeah, can we agree that it's anecdotal?
Yeah.
There's no supporting evidence of it.
I mean, I'd say the only thing I'd say is that we don't have evidence that people didn't get hurt like that back then. You know what I mean? You're muted again.
Yeah, you're muted.
I hit it one too many times. I'm looking up the injury rates by season, so we might have some evidence here.
Well, but
we'd have to do it by guard, though.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, a lot of bigs got hurt back then too.
So I mean, it was just a food for thought. And then I heard it. I thought it was interesting. It was on Colin Coucher program. So moving on, this is the semi Hawk talk where we're just sort of talking about the series before we get into really discussing, moving forward. So basically, the Eastern Conference the second round concluded with us taking. I think the last time we talked to you, we had won Game 5. Or had that even happened yet?
Yeah, we won Game 5.
Was the last time we spoke? No, because we were both like, "Oh, it's over." Like, we may win one or two more. We may win one more.
Oh yeah. It was
Game 4 after they blew us out or something.
Us.
Yeah. And then the next game, that's why we were watching it and we were down and we were like, "Fuck, it's over." And then we came back. So anyway, we came back from 26 in Game 5. We had a chance to close it out at home in Game 6 in our MLK jerseys. We lost, fell to 11-2 in those jerseys. And then in Game 7, in a game that was down to the wire, equally back and forth the whole time, no team took a big lead, which Brian made a point that any team that took a big lead had lost the game. So we were both happy that we didn't, there was no imbalance. Also, when Trey would tend to get big leads and then you take him out the game, it would always be like a huge drop off. And that would always let the other team get back in. So luckily that didn't happen. And we managed, despite Trey having, a very bad shooting night, a Steph Curry like Game 3 night, Kevin Huerter, Red Velvet, was able to come in and, drop 27, get 7 boards, make sure Seth Curry didn't get going. He did a lot of things that contributed to us winning that game. But despite us playing so well and having great veteran leadership from players like Danilo Gallinari, when he got that clutch steal, it seemed that the media went overboard in trying to, make this all about the Sixers, namely the guy who has been much maligned, Ben Simmons, who has been thrown under the bus so many times that I don't even know if he is still whole.
He's just a speed bump at this point.
Right. It's just a speed bump. And this all started
that roadkill.
Right. It all started with Joel Embiid, where he hesitantly was interviewed at the end of the game, and he was sort of like, he wanted to say it, but he didn't want to say it, but he pretty much blamed him. And he said, yeah, there was a point where we could have took a shot, and we didn't take the shot, and I'm just going to say that changed the game. And he said, don't blame me, at least I tried. And I know he was crying on his way back to the locker room. Again, always crying, always on the floor, always crying. So, sort of like a big baby. Like, I think quite literally the biggest baby in NBA history. Well, anyway, so they all blame Ben Simmons. They asked Doc Rivers, like, is Ben Simmons the type of point guard that can lead you to a championship? He didn't really want to answer that. And then in other news, Josh Smith came on here and he started going ham on Doc Rivers.
That was one of the funniest lives I've seen or not lives,
it was
but like
hilarious. It was
stories.
Like 30 slides. Then he woke up in the morning and gave us 10 more.
Oh man, I saw that. I just woke up and I saw that I
was
went
on one.
Crazy. I was on one last night, but I don't give a fuck.
Got that 76 pack.
Got that 76 pack. Smoking these all day.
I was like, Josh, you made it back into the good graces of all Atlanta Hawks fans now.
Right, I followed him and everything. I didn't even know he was making noise like that.
Right.
But so I want to ask y'all, was this who? Obviously we're Atlanta fans, so we know we were just better than them. So we don't have to, break down the minutia of why we won just because we're freaking better. But for the listening public, who do you blame on their side the most? Is it, is Ben Simmons the fairest scapegoat? Is it Doc Rivers, who always fails to really hold his teams accountable and leads to things like this? Is it Joel Embiid, who had 8 turnovers? Who do y'all take?
I say it goes around. Ben Simmons was super timid. How do you go? Like, he got exposed that series. And how this guy made all pro, all NBA, all star, all defense. I give him all defense, but all NBA team and all star. It's like, bruh, how? Like, is it just defense and passing? Because that's all he literally provided. And Embiid gets some blame because even though he tried, bruh, his conditioning is terrible. Like, down the stretch, like, he's sucking. Like, bruh, bruh, you. And he likes to play bully ball. Like, bruh, as much as you like to bang and fall and stuff, you need to be in better shape because, like, down the stretch, like, you don't have enough energy to hit half of the shots that you're taking. Then Doc, I forgot who I heard say it, but they were like, you had a 10-man rotation in Game 7 of a playoff series,
right? Only Doc,
and it's like, bruh, yeah. A lot of blame goes around. I split it between those three just about evenly, and at the end of the day, you said, they talked about after I think Stephen A. Smith talked about it, said after the Washington series, he was like, you're not smart if you believe that you should take Ben Simmons off the floor late in the game. And what did he wind up doing in Game 7? He took him off the floor for like the last 4 minutes of the game because he knew what was going to happen. He's a liability. He was going to get fouled. So, yeah, blame goes around. The funniest thing,
the funniest thing is when they have that little picture where it's like Joel Embiid's face and Ben Simmons' face when they realize that the series was over, and you have Joel still on the court and Ben's in his warm up.
Oh man.
There's a lot of blame to go around, in all honesty. Ben's a big part of it. I don't think he's the biggest part of it, though. I mean, I don't know if y'all heard what Stephen A. Smith said today on air, but like the text he got on air. So he got a text from someone within the 76ers organization and said he's lazy. He doesn't work on his shooting, obviously. Mm-hmm. He's constantly coddled by the organization. And he just thinks like he just kind of exists. He's like, well, I'm this good, it is what it is. So I mean, that's who Ben Simmons is. Like, you can only blame a person that is that way so much. You have to blame the organization and how they decided to build this team. Like, I mean, I didn't think about it that way until today when Mike Bell was talking about it on air, but like the 76ers are a fundamentally flawed team. They don't have enough shooting. Like, you can't have Joel Embiid and not have a ton of shooters. He's dominant in the post, and he's an excellent post passer. Like, you saw how many times he got double teamed and found the right guy immediately. Right. Like, he's an extremely smart player. So you need to have shooters around a guy like that. But two, you also need to make smart decisions. They chose George Hill over Kyle Lowry this season. Mm-hmm. That was the trade they were going between. Like, what veteran point guard do we want? If they had Kyle Lowry on that team, they would have dominated us. Because he would have slowed the game down. He would have gotten into position. And he's at least somewhat of a threat. Like, if you would have had Kyle Lowry out there, you wouldn't have thought twice about yanking Ben Simmons out. Because you're like, this is a guy who's been to the NBA championship and won. And was the second best player on the court. So, I mean, I blame the 76ers front office. They did not make smart moves. They were arrogant about it. They did not address their needs properly. And they hired Doc Rivers. Yeah. Like, you chose to invest in these players and these coaches, and you know their history.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. I think we sort of have – I think we might have talked about this, about how Philadelphia was sort of poorly constructed because their three best players are all post players. Like, Tobias is he tries to act like he's a wing, but we saw that he was only effective if he really got straight downhill right under the basket. That's the only time he was really effective.
15 feet and in, he's lethal. 15
right.
feet and out, he's a question mark.
Right. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Seth is a great shooter. But I think, to me, I'm on the Josh Smith thing, which also, I mean, like you said, you hit the umbrella point where it's like, okay, yeah, this is an organizational problem. But I think that going into the playoffs, there might have been first round. I know Doc Rivers, he's always so impassioned about everything he says, but it's problematic when one of the things he was so impassioned about is, Ben Simmons he's not a guy who's going to shoot. He's not going to shoot. So stop trying to make him shoot. Blah, 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 blah. So when you have a guy who's already lazy, already entitled, already has the silver spoon his whole life, and then you have a coach that has no desire apparently to hold him accountable, then he's going to do things like pass up dunks that he could have on Trae Young when the game is on the line. That's what you're going to get when you don't hold players accountable. You know what I mean? Because in summer league or whatever was preseason, you saw Ben Simmons pulling up from all over the mid-range. He was shooting jumpers. It looked good. Like, they look good.
People finally thought, here it is.
Right. And then you hear things like Brett Brown would stop the practice if Ben Simmons didn't take a shot. That's the kind of accountability you need. Like, I would almost bargain to say if Brett Brown was still their coach this year, they would have gotten farther, because Doc Rivers was so like, oh, well, he doesn't shoot. You know what I mean? So when you enforce that kind of thing in a player of that magnitude, they're not going to try to get better. And at the end of the day, and then also you can look at Joel Embiid and his body language. His body language has been this bad for the past 3 years. Like, when he's tired, like Micah said, he's in such bad condition that when he's tired, he puts his hands on his knees, his head's down. It looks ridiculous. It's like, you don't see great. You never saw Shaq do that. Like, and he was 300 pounds. Like, and mind you, I mean, Shaq would take a lot of defensive possessions off so that he would have energy to, contribute on the offensive play end as he did. But at the same time, he knew that he needed to be available for the full length of the game, and that after the third quarter, he couldn't turn into Julius Randle, a tired version of Julius Randle.
If you notice, though, if you rewind it to about game 3 or 4, when did we start seeing Capella actually trying to take shots in the paint down there, and Collins trying to take those shots down there? Because there was a point where there's a sudden shift, where it's like we were avoiding that. We were going 15 and out. We're trying to win it through jumpers. And Nate was like, no, go wear him down on the offensive end. We made it a point to wear him down. So I think that plays a big role in this as well. So that cannot go without saying that.
Yeah. But I think Charles Barkley said it. He was like, Embiid needs to look at losing 15 to 20 pounds. Because you're 280, you're like the third heaviest player in the league, but the way you play and as active as you are, if you don't have gas down the stretch, then what good are you? Because you are their best player. Now, to Ryan's point about the front office, they screwed up because the fact that Ben Simmons is their highest paid player on their team lets it's like, bruh, I mean, what are y'all, what's the goal? What's the end goal? I know y'all had to trust the process, but you fired the coach who was getting good results because you gave Doc, you crowned Doc. Now, granted, Doc might be a better manager of players and ego, but Brent Brown was really willing to ruffle feathers to get what he could to get the most out of his players. So what's the trade-off? I mean, yeah, you basically traded a guy, you traded out a guy who would push Ben Simmons, who should be their second best player, for a guy who just let him do what he's going to do. And now you didn't get any better. So
now they're sitting at home.
Yeah, exactly.
So just real quick, tell me what y'all's favorite part about the Hawks, or what the Hawks did to win this series, or just what was the favorite thing you saw about this series from a Hawk-centric point of view?
Oh man. The biggest thing was seeing guys like Herter, Gallo, Collins. I mean, Collins had 16 rebounds in game 7. Like these guys who aren't necessarily, they're not Trae Young, the one that everybody notices, but they stepped up when Trae was struggling shooting. These guys stepped up and made plays. I mean, Gallo made some plays down the stretch, and I like I told one of my coworkers, I said Gallo is funny because he'll do something absolutely stupid and piss you off, and then he'll do something, turn around, fade away at crunch time. It's like, can't be mad at you. Can't be mad at you. So yeah, I mean that's the thing. It was just seeing some of these guys step up. I mean, Okongwu, I mean, the valuable minutes that he put in down in that series, it's like, bruh. And it was, I was talking about that earlier too. I said, from when Lloyd Pierce was coaching, Okongwu looked so lost on the court. It was like, bruh, this dude is going to be a bust. and then Nate McMillan comes in, and now he's playing valuable minutes in key playoff games and holding his own against Joel Embiid and Dwight Howard, guys like who are much bigger, stronger, and more physical than him, but he's holding his own against them. And I'm like, bruh, that's the, and not to mention, and Nate McMillan, just the adjustments he made, it's so refreshing. It like bruh, it's like, we got a coach who can make adjustments. Thank you, God.
Right.
Yeah. For the record, Joel Embiid is the 7th heaviest player in the NBA right now. Taco Fall.
You have a list?
I do. Taco Fall weighing at 311 is the heaviest. Boban at 290 is second. Yusuf Nurkic, 290. Wow, he's 6'11", 290. He's a stocky boy. I didn't know. He doesn't look it.
He plays like he's 6'7", 190.
Nikola Jokic
$150
at 284. Brooke Lopez. Well, the Lopez twins are next. They're separated by 1 pound. Then Joel Embiid.
Okay.
Oh wow, he's heavier than Zion.
Zion's like 240, isn't he? 250.
No, he's like 280.
He was 285 coming out of college.
Where is Zion? Wait.
And Joel is what?
That's playoffs.
Just in the playoffs. Okay. Robin Lopez did make the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah. But
all right, here we go. Zion's actually technically heavier than him by 4 pounds.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's just like, but you like, as strong as Embiid is, you'd think he'd be more cut. Like he's just like his arms don't look like he works out at all. It's just like,
Well, no, man, he definitely's got some. He's got a little too much fat.
He's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a strong dude. But the thing that Micah touched on it a little bit. It's a Kongwu. Like when Marco was over here, I wanted the Kongwu back in the game over Capella in that last game because he was not afraid to get into Embiid's body and force him to use his quickness. Whereas Capella, like how many times did we see it where Embiid would catch it at the free throw line, he would jab, 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 and then hit that fade shot over Capella because he was giving him 2 feet of space, and it's like you got to force a 7 foot, 284 guy to beat you with his quickness. Like you've got to do it. Like Capella, you're probably 40 pounds lighter than him. I think he's exactly 40 pounds lighter than him. If you can't keep that man in front of you, you need to work on your lateral quickness, man.
Well, I think it was more so just because he knows how physical Embiid could play. He was encouraging Embiid to be more of a jump shooter instead of driving and then potentially getting himself in foul trouble.
You're giving up 3 inches. Yeah, you're giving up 3 inches in height. Also, your reach, I'm sure there's probably a good difference there. And you're giving him 2 feet. You're giving him a free look at the basket every time, and he's too good of a shooter to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but at the same time, like I said, as much as Embiid likes to drive, and as much as he likes to bump and fall, Capella would have fouled out of every game had he tried to do that for
every game. Yeah, but game 7 specifically.
Yeah, game 7, he had one foul.
To Ryan's point specifically, John Collins and Okongwu did like 100 times better job guarding Embiid than Capella did. Capella was just like
Collins' big thing was every time he tries to bang me, I'm gonna fall and I'm gonna take the charge. Every time he lowers that shoulder, it's
not even that.
Yeah, but there was a distinct
put a body
difference.
on it.
Yeah, they forced him to drive. They forced the man with tired legs to drive and to try and beat them side to side, and it just didn't work because when you saw Embiid struggle at the beginning of the fourth, when he was like 0 for his last 6, it's because Okongwu was on him and forcing him to either make a play passing it or take a contested shot off the dribble.
Which is when he would turn it over or shoot a Julius Randle shot.
Exactly. And I mean, the biggest play of the game was because someone put a body on Embiid.
Yeah. One thing I will say though, like, bruh, I like Dwight Howard less and less by the day.
He's a thug.
Like, bruh, he was just throwing people out the way and he'd be like, what I do? Like,
huh? He rock bottomed Lou Will. Remember when he rock bottomed? Lou Will got a foul.
Yeah, like, yo, he's holding little Lou Williams, and y'all called a foul on Lou Williams? What?
He slammed him to
Lou
the ground.
Lou was so hot, man. Hot.
I would have been too.
That's the reason right to be. They didn't give Lou a tech because they knew they were wrong. Because he was yelling at them at the top of his lungs for like 5 minutes. But to me, the most impressive thing about this series is the fact that besides game 1 and game 3, which, our team shot good but still lost, we didn't really have a good shooting game this whole entire series. Like we were all shooting very poorly. Like Trey was having 30% games. Obviously, Bogey didn't show up for all but one of the games of these series, 2, but we lost game 3. And we still managed to win the series playing a scrappy brand of basketball where it's like, okay, we're competing now. This isn't about what our game plan was. This is about we're ball players. We saw the best you have, and we know that we're good enough to beat it. And it doesn't matter who needs to step up. Someone will, because we know we can. And to me, that was the most impressive part of this series. Like we didn't play necessarily well from our standard of what we saw in the season, and still managed to convincingly beat these guys. Not to where like people think it's a fluke. Like obviously they're trying to make up excuses and stuff about Ben Simmons, but at the end of the day, we were just better. You know what I mean? So to me, that was definitely the most important or impressive component.
I agree. I didn't even think about it from that perspective, but yeah, definitely not being Atlanta was the most impressive thing.
Right. It's like there was not 1 ounce of quit or like bafflement or, oh no, this is too big for us. like how the Braves looked against the Dodgers last year. It's like, oh my God, we're up 3-1. Oh no. Like, close out. Moving on. What we got up next? We already talked about Milwaukee. And I am actually very confident. I'm done being the careful guy. I'm in full fan mode, and I'm all about saying that the Hawks already got rid of their toughest opponent. The toughest draw that they were going to get in the biggest matchup nightmare, which we talked about. We talked about this. We don't want to. Remember, I was like, I don't want to see the Sixers because all that length, all that size.
I didn't care.
Right, Micah.
I legit said the only team I didn't want to see was Brooklyn. A healthy Brooklyn team because I felt like no matter how well we shot, they could outshoot us.
Right, and despite, so yeah, we got past our toughest opponent, and now we're coming into this series against. Obviously, they're more or less fully healthy. They're missing Dante DiVincenzo, but I mean, whatever. I mean, he's good, but I mean, what if they want to play Forbes? Honestly, he wouldn't have probably even made the full Eastern Conference Finals roster. I don't know because you're muted, Ryan.
Wait, that's weird. It wasn't flashing, then I pressed it, and it is. Anyway, no, he definitely would have made it. He got plenty of minutes for them.
Yeah, he's good, but he's okay. I mean, Forbes was a good approximation of what he would have offered numbers wise. At least for the first series. In the second series, Forbes was a nobody. So, and also it just to say this right now, it gives me a little bit of courage, a little extra courage, the fact that they struggled so much against a Nets team that was severely undermanned and notoriously terrible at defense. So that, is interesting. Let's see what else is written here to see if there's anything interesting to say. Obviously, our injury report, I didn't know Kevin Huerter would be a game-time decision. Cam Reddish is obviously a game-time decision. I don't be Goody and
D.
Hunter.
That's a very important player to bring back for this series, though.
Cam. All right, so and Bogdan is game time. So just
Bogdan was doubtful.
Right now it says, I don't know. I usually don't see game time decision, but I don't know what that really means. But yeah, it's usually doubtful. But so we'll see. Wait, but just
hold on, real quick. What was Brandon Goodwin's illness?
He had a lung illness, something like that.
Oh,
I think it's COVID, but that's just me.
But it was like out for the season, illness. Wait, what?
It was like he got, like, whatever happened, and then he wasn't going to make the playoff roster anyway. So,
okay, they just use illness as the explanation. That's why he's out for the season.
Yeah, Brandon Goodwin, he'd be looking like Roddy Rich. But anyways, just give me a quick rundown on your expectations for this series. What you think we can exploit, what we need to sort of watch out for. Go ahead. And then your prediction, obviously your prediction.
Actually, no. I want Micah to go first because I wanted him to talk about his lineups that he thought and the matchups.
Oh, okay.
So I can play off of that.
All right. So, I took a very different approach to this. So when I was talking to my coworkers about it, and I said, if it were up to me, I'd put Capella on Giannis. I said I'd put him on Giannis and tell him to play the way he was playing Embiid, where he was giving him 3 feet. I'm like, if he's at the 3-point line, play at the free throw line. If he can have all the threes he wants, but if he lowers his head and drives, I want you to move your feet, get in front of him, and try to take as many charges as possible. But like I said, just if he does that little thing where he backs up, winds up, and it dribbles down, like bro, all right, okay, you're telegraphing what you're gonna do.
When he backs up like that, you just need to back up as well.
Yeah, there you go. Nah, but all right, so I said in that way, and I put Collins on Brook Lopez, because Brook Lopez, if you leave him open, he will make you pay. So, and plus, Brook Lopez doesn't move as much. He'll set picks, but Brook Lopez doesn't move as much. So if you don't make Collins work as much on the defensive end, that gives him a lot more energy to help out on the offensive end. And I feel like the more Collins is active on the offensive side of the floor, we typically win. So now, as far as if we get Cam Reddish back, then that'd be huge, because I think Cam can play Chris Middleton. He can match up with Chris Middleton. Herter, I put Herter on, or if not, Herter might have to play Middleton.
Which I'm fine with. I'm completely fine with.
I feel like Drew is going to have to work so much on the defensive end to cover Trey, to keep up to run around and chase Trey, that it's going to affect him offensively. Now, I mean, I think he still could put up some decent numbers, but I feel like he might struggle offensively this series because Trey is so active, and he's going to have to fight through so many picks to keep up with Trey. Who's their other starter? I can't remember their other starter.
PJ Tucker.
Trey doesn't do any off-ball running where he's going to have to fight through picks.
Right, that's the thing.
No. I'm talking about Drew.
That's what I'm saying. Drew, when would Drew have to fight through picks? I mean, Trey doesn't ever run with that. He doesn't ever move without the ball.
No, I'm saying if he's guarding Trey, as much as we run the pick and roll, I'm saying he might have to chase.
Okay, you just mean the simple getting over the first pick.
We're not going to Steph Curry him, yeah.
Yeah,
non-ball screens.
Yeah, I think Drew is there. Drew is going to. Knowing Coach Bud, he's probably going to be like, no, don't switch, just play him tight, and
whatever you do, don't adjust.
Yeah. Oh yeah, PJ Tucker. All right, well, I'm not as worried about PJ Tucker, but you can't leave PJ Tucker over. That's why I say put Capella on Giannis, because Capella he's not an offensive threat other than lobs and a potential offensive putback. So
speaking of PJ Tucker, I almost wonder if they're gonna because Drew's obviously a better defender, but PJ Tucker is an irritant. So I wonder if they're gonna have more PJ Tucker on Trey and then put Drew on whoever else they don't really want to get going.
Boy, if they put PJ Tucker on Trey, that's not going to be good for them. Right.
Yeah,
they don't want that.
Yeah, he's not quick enough. He's nowhere near quick enough to keep up with Trey. So I could see them putting PJ Tucker on like a Herter or Bogey.
Trey would dice him up too.
Or like a Bogey maybe, but I wouldn't. Or honestly, they might put him on Collins because they want to save Giannis. They want to save Giannis's legs a little bit. So, and they'll put Giannis on like Herter or something. But
I think PJ Tucker weighs more than John Collins.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. He's
about 20 pounds heavier than him.
He's a lot stronger. He's a lot stronger. So that's my thing. I'd sacrifice Capella and be like, look, just back off Giannis, encourage him to shoot jumpers, try to draw some charges. If you can get him in foul trouble early, you can draw a couple charges early and get him in foul trouble, then that's one less thing we have to worry about. But that's my goal. I'm just, like I said, I'm not really worried about that. Bench wise, I believe we're a lot deeper than they are. Our bench is a lot more consistent than theirs.
Yeah. Bench keeps getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah, but I mean, we still got, Lou Will, Gallo, and Kongwu. I can't stop, throwing praise at him because he is really progressing. So
Kongwu and Bobby Portis is going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah,
Bobby Portis began so mad.
Right.
So, but like, what's his name? But like, that's why my biggest thing is, if Giannis is going to get his, cool, but do not let the other role players don't let Giannis create for the other guys to get rhythm shots, because that's where they can kill you.
Yeah. This is the one series that I just don't know how to view it, because I have a feeling we're going to win, but there's a lot of matchups that I'm worried about. Drew on Trey kind of scares me because Drew's a true lockdown point guard.
But how does Drew scare you more than Ben Simmons on Trey?
That's the thing. I feel like Ben is a really good defender as a point guard because he's long.
6'10".
Yeah, he's long. Like, it's just something that, he's a really good shot blocker. But Drew is a fundamentally sound defensive player who plays the position in a way that it makes the other point guard's game hell on earth. You have to make the right play at all times to beat Drew. Like, he is that type of on-ball defender. I mean, he is a lockdown point guard. So that kind of scares me a bit, depending on how they deploy it and depending on how we're going to have to pick a lot, and you're going to have to hope for the pick and switch. You're going to have to get Drew off of Trey constantly. Chris Middleton's a wild card because he can be, supernova hot and put 35, 40 on you, or he could, disappear and go 4 for 17 in 3 games in a row. So I'm not terribly worried about him. We've got a lot of length at that 2 guard, especially if Cam Reddish is back to throw at him. But I think Herter is okay to match up with him. PJ Tucker, I mean, I have a feeling a lot of times you're probably going to see Trey on him because he's going to be the guy that we're not too worried about. Like, if he hits 5 threes in a game and beats us, okay. We'll live with that. He's not going to do it every game. But the combo of Giannis and Brook Lopez, because they're both 7 feet tall, and Brook can draw your best rebounder, technically your center, out of the paint, and Giannis can just feast down there. We don't have another guy down there that can, like, if you leave John Collins against Capella or against Giannis in the paint as a one-on-one rebounding match, John's going to lose that 8 times out of 10.
Right. Because they don't call over the backs with Giannis.
No, and he's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, he jumps higher. Like, that's a rebounding nightmare to me. I feel like if they would have left Ben Simmons down in the paint more often, that would have really caused us problems. But I was just glad that he wasn't down there. He kind of hung out for the lob, and then he disappeared.
What's name doesn't do adjustments either.
Right. So it's a series that we could win. It's a series that I could also see us really struggling in. But I don't know, man. I just don't know how to feel about this yet. I haven't dissected it long enough. I haven't watched enough about him. And I mean, Giannis is a 2-time MVP for a reason.
Well, that's purely the reason why I believe what's his name should play Giannis, like put Capella on Giannis. Even though the athleticism is different, Capella's strong enough to at least battle with them for the boards. And I'm like, Collins, I'd rather have Collins chasing around Brook Lopez on the defensive end because he's not going to do much running.
But he and Brook run a lot of picks up top to get that flip flop, man. Bud is good at that. So I mean, if that's our strategy, you're going to see John Collins on him a lot, man.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. Capella should try his best to stay on Giannis and not even go to the perimeter when Giannis is out there. Like, let him shoot that.
stand in the free throw line. As long as he's at the top of the key, I'm like free throw line and paint. This is all you go.
I don't give a fuck if Giannis gets hot from 3. That's only happening once or twice in a series, and maybe that's enough for them. But this is the way I look at it. There's a lot of reasons. I wish we were healthy, because then I would pick us, no question. Like,
Hunter would have made such a difference, man.
No question at all. But the thing that I noticed in this series and in the New York series to a lesser extent, well, before I get to that, I'll say this. When you look at a series, you want to see what players can win you games, right? And we've already seen that our wins can come from a myriad of places. We've gotten contributions from Lou Will stepped in. Bogdan won us a game against the Knicks. John Collins won us a game with pure energy. Trey obviously just won us a big game being great. Danilo won us a game with the steal. I mean, Kevin Huerter was a part of that too. When I look at the Bucks, I don't really see anyone outside of Giannis who can really win them a game. Giannis and Middleton. Giannis and Middleton are really the only two. Drew Holiday's not going to win you a game. Like you posted that correlation stat, And as I expected and watching from Drew Holiday, his offensive production this playoffs has plummeted. Like he is not like it's funny. Like before he got to the Bucks, everybody was like, "Oh my God, Drew Holiday is the most underrated player." Now it's like he was never underrated. He was just what he is. Like he's just an unaggressive scorer that plays really good defense.
The weird thing is he has a bag. Like I don't know why he doesn't go to it. He doesn't trust it.
Well, I think partially he's got such a defensive load that he has to worry about now that.
But even so, he gets open shots all the time and bricks them. Like he was bricking so many shots in that game 7. I was like, he was shooting and be like, he's not making that. Like that's not his shot. And it's just an open jumper. It's like, that's not his shot. But anyway, so on that aspect, I'm not worried about their just pure talent in terms of just getting them games. Giannis, yeah, obviously Giannis can get you games, but he needs a cast because you can still build that wall. Giannis has not developed a repertoire big enough to where we can't say build that wall. But okay, and then the second reason why I'm confident, Coach Bud doesn't adjust. Like he lives and dies by the 3, which will lead to my next point about why I am worried. So in against the Knicks and against the Philly, 2 of the things that we struggled the most at was those kickouts to the 3-point line where guys would get wide open, uncontested 3-pointers, whether it was Shake, whether it was Seth, the whole series, whether it was Maxey. And that's the Sixers aren't even really a good shooting team. Milwaukee is. Like they are designed, a Coach Bud offense is always designed to be an escape valve and a dish and kick or screen and pop. That's all Bud's offenses are. So if we can't effectively get a hand in all of these 3-point shooters' faces and they get, hot, I could see us getting blown out a couple times in this series just by not playing good defense on their perimeter. So that's the thing I'd be the most worried about. But I'm not really worried about their personnel in terms of, you know what I mean, in terms of what they can do offensively. Even Drew, after Trey handled a series with Ben Simmons against a hostile Philly crowd, I'm not worried about anything Drew can do.
Talking about a change in home court moods, though.
Right.
New York, Philly, Milwaukee.
Some of the nicest fans in the league.
You guys are playing really great.
They'll probably be cheering for Trey, which might mess him up. He'll be like, what?
I wonder if we'll see Aaron Rodgers try and chug a beer again.
Oh, God. No, he's not going to show up. He's on bad terms. He's on bad terms with that city. He'll be like, oh, gee, we sure like that guy, but he sure is a knucklehead. But but yeah, so those are my sort of reasons why. So I'm 2-1 in my 2 positives, 1 negative. Like we did a very poor job of defending kickouts, and that's what Milwaukee does. So that might pose an issue. And what are y'all's predictions for the series?
It's going 7. I have a feeling it's going 7. Am I forced to make a prediction right now?
Yeah.
Hawks 4-3.
Hawks in 6.
Hawks sweep. Let's go, baby!
You weren't kidding about the homerism.
Let's go, baby! Aha! Aha!
Man, aha! These broken wings.
So, just real quick before we end this segment. So the draft lottery is out, and I'm gonna go from 14 to 1. So 14, we got Warriors, Pacers at 13, Spurs 12, Hornets at 11, Pelicans at 10, Kings at 9, Magic at 8, Warriors at 7 again. So they got 7 and 14. Thunder at 6, Magic at 5, Raptors at 4, Cavs at 3, Rockets at 2, Pistons at 1. So it's looking like Pistons are going to be able to have that Killian Hayes, Cade, and what's my man's name? Jeremy Grant.
What about Cade Cunningham?
That's what I said. I said Cade,
Killian
Hayes, and Jeremy Grant. It'll be a nice, nice little
Jeremiah.
To still be wildly mediocre.
Right. Hey man, you never know. So
Cade and Killian might be a nice little 1-2 in the future.
Yeah, Cade and Jeremy, obviously he's not gonna be a 25 point per game guy on a good team, but I mean, Hey man, it could be pretty nice. So anyway, that concludes the layup, aka the finger roll, aka jelly time, aka points in the paint.
Aha! Aha!
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna eat these wings. We're gonna get some water, and then we're gonna come back, talk a little Braves, and then wrap it up with some NFL talk and talk some of the crazy things that happened this weekend. Stick around. We'll be back in a little bit. Appreciate it, you guys. guys? Welcome back from the break.
Aha!
I just scarfed down as many wings as I could. Oh, Bryce told you to
Revisted.
stay off the weed, Micah.
The weed.
I don't know what you did.
It's Bryce.
He just
Grain
finds
of salt.
grudges. Finds grudges with the most random people. Robo, I hate you. And Chicago.
He likes to fight people and wish people to get injured.
I told him that earlier. He's like, I do not. I'm like, you do. You do. Speaking of injuries, though, let's talk about that other team in Atlanta who's riddled with them. Micah, what you got to say?
Hey, everybody. It's time for the Suicide Squeeze. So, all right. So this week in MLB news. So,
Whoa, strong bet.
after last week's reinforcement on policies involving the use of sticky substance by MLB pitchers, the league has cracked down on these rules again, now having players check before going back to the dugout. New York Mets pitcher Jacob deGrom was one of the first subjected to these searches by umpires, and they made deGrom put his hand over his glove cap, as well as requiring him to undo his belt buckle, which I checked. I would have checked even more. I would have checked his shoulder, his chest, his beard, anything else that could hide a substance. Maybe put a little extra beard oil on so he could get some movement on his slider. But speaking of Jake deGrom, so one of our top prospects, I think he's our number 5 prospect in our farm system, Kyle Muller, had his first major league start yesterday, and he had his first at bat. He had a great at bat against Jacob deGrom. Took a walk in 8 pitches, and so he went 0-2, down 0-2 against him. Fouled off 100 miles per hour fastball. Then took 3 straight sliders in the 3 straight terrible sliders out of the zone. Then fouled off another fastball, and then took another slider away for a walk. So I was like, wow.
He's like, I've been studying you. You're actually the pitcher that I studied my game after. I know what you're about to do.
The funny thing is, a pitcher in his first start has a better at bat against Jacob deGrom than a lot of our actual hitters did. But also Kyle Muller in his first start, he gave up 1 run on 1 hit and 2 walks, and also had 3 strikeouts in 4 innings pitched. So it was a decent start, especially for it being his first major league start. So yeah, I mean, that was, especially you're facing opposite Jacob deGrom. I mean, that's
the best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, the most dominant pitcher in baseball right now. So, and other than that, other big news: Ronnie Acuna hits monster home run number 20. So Ronnie doing it big still. Ronnie Acuna,
And that's 100 for his career, right? Right.
Yep.
I mean, he's past that. Is he past that now?
he's passed.
Oh yeah, that was
3
nights ago was 100.
Yeah. I think 18 was So good. Yeah, good. Keep it going, Ronnie.
So
Second.
what's the record, Micah?
Second in the NL in home runs at 2, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
What's the Braves' record right now, Micah?
We're still below 500.
34 and 37.
Yeah, still 3 games below 500.
34 and 37. Didn't we win 2 of our last 3 too?
Yeah, well, we played the Cardinals very well, but still we can't ever make up ground and get to it. We can't even get back to 500 lately. But we're so injury riddled.
Since we spoke, we lost the weekend series against the Red Sox. Lost both of those 10-8, which is weird. And then we took 3 out of 4 against the Cardinals. One game 2, 9-1, came back and lost the third one 1-9. So
then didn't Snit go at Ron? Is this a part of your Snit win at Rodney?
Yeah, that's the stupid thing. Like Snitker went at Ronald Acuna for trying to stretch a double into a triple, and he got thrown out. And the funny thing is, last year when Dansby Swanson did the exact same thing, he encouraged it. It was like, I like him being aggressive, but it's like, all right, so what's the difference? Do you just not like Ronald Acuna, or
the difference is our record?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, but I mean, at a certain point, I get it, but at a certain point, he's trying to make a play. We need play. We need some plays, so we need a spark every now and then. It is what it is, and he's not like Bobby Cox, where he'll sacrifice his own self to get the rally the troops. So, he just kind of stands there looking dumbfounded all the time, and I'm about at the point where I'm just like, if we want to win something, Snit is not the guy that's going to get us there.
Snit gotta go.
I mean, yeah, I posted about it last week. I feel like Snit's taking this club as far as he possibly can. You can't live with a manager who's. I mean, it was kind of like, I don't want to say it's Lloyd Pierce, because Lloyd Pierce was very bad, but it was kind of like Dan Quinn. Snit and Dan Quinn are exactly the same. The players love them. They can get individual improvements out of players in certain areas. And the first couple of years he'll catch a team off guard because you don't really know what he's going to do, and he may change it up a little bit. But the basis of it is they're both just mediocre coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And if you give them elite talent, which we have, the Falcons had, they're gonna make it to the playoffs. So he's got to go. He's got to get out of here, and he's got to, you got to find someone who's willing to take those chances. Like when you saw Dave Roberts take those chances with the Dodgers last year. Like the way you see David Ross taking these chances up in Chicago. You got to have these guys that, push their players. And I mean, I feel like Snitker thinks he's trying to push Acuna with these antics and saying these things. But also at the same time, I just think he's absolutely unaware how he comes off and sounds by doing that.
Yeah.
Do I think Snit's racist? No. Do I think there's a little prejudice in there? Yeah. I mean, he's what, 65, 70 almost?
Right.
He's somewhere in that range. I mean, he's, he may not think he thinks that way, but there's something in there. So, I mean, you can't constantly praise Freddie and Dansby and all these type of guys, but anytime, Ozzie makes a mistake, or especially Ronnie makes a mistake, you jump on him like that. And I get he's your best player and all that, but it's just like you're going to drive Ronald Acuna out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, or you're that path leads to that. And if you think Atlanta's going to get rid of Ronald before they get rid of you, Snit,
yeah,
I mean, his management ability is just suspect, and I think he struggles managing the bullpen. I know he has limitations, based on the talent that he has, but at the same time, I mean, a lot of the the shortcomings in our World Series potential run were shortcomings in decision making, which is why I agree with you, even though it was a lot of the players making the bad decisions. But I agree with you that aspect is the same as Dan Quinn, where it's like he's a good guy to have in the clubhouse. The players like him. He can develop guys somewhat to an extent. But when it comes down to actually making decisions and having an advantage, with your coaching staff, he just doesn't give you that. Like, he doesn't give you, any kind of advantages in the dugout.
Well, I mean, just look at last year in the play, like that Dodgers series. At Duval goes down to injury, and you have Inciarte, who's a much better outfielder. So instead, you move Austin Riley to left field, who's not a good. So you lose defensively, and it's like, bro, I would have at least would have had a good defensive player there. Now Ender's bat isn't great, but like, bro, you losing two facets though. It's like, all right, so we move Austin Riley to a position he's not comfortable at, and then so you lose defensively, and who did we play in the third? Camargo. We went Camargo,
who's a better left fielder than Riley is. That's the weird thing.
But hitting wise, you're going to lose regardless. You're going to lose regardless. Offensively, at least don't hurt yourself defensively. So yeah, it was just decisions, like certain decisions, like who he went with down the stretch. Like I'll never forget. Was it Game 7 where Mentor comes in and was like 3 straight innings, like untouchable, and then he pulls him out? I'm like, bro, go one more inning with Mentor.
Let him get into trouble before you yank him.
Exactly. I'm like, you use them a little more. Like, I get it. You got pitch counts and innings, but inning restrictions. But bro, you're in the playoffs. Like, this game matters. Like, if you see a pitcher has a hot hand, stay with them until, like you said, until he gets in trouble. And he didn't. He pulled him too early. What happened? Next pitcher comes in. Matic starts giving up and gives up runs, and we lose a lead. So it's like, bro.
Same thing how he yanked Bryce Wilson too. He didn't.
Oh yeah. He coaches himself out of games so many times. Just like Dan Quinn, he would make decisions that would essentially like coach us out of games. So yeah, that's my frustration. But that concludes the Suicide Squeeze.
There was one more thing in baseball that I wanted to bring up, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, well. Let's talk a little football. Let's talk a little pigskin. Let's talk a little 11 on 11. Let's get into the grits blitz.
Blue 32! Blue 32!
I hope one of our screen captures or our pictures captures you doing crazy things with your eyes, because it seems like every time we get a picture, I'm like, or, hey.
I was just under the impression that's how you always looked, Ryan.
That's just how I walk around. I just don't know it. All right. So in NFL news, something cool happened yesterday. Yeah. Carl Nassib, the former Penn State defensive end / linebacker, former walk-on at Penn State, now backup defensive end for the Raiders, jumped on Instagram out of nowhere, because he's not a very active Instagram type of guy. He doesn't, jump on and do lives and all these type of things like that you see a lot of current athletes do. And he posted a video coming out as gay, which makes him the first active NFL player to come out and be openly gay. Now, there was Michael Sam. He did get drafted, but he never made an active game day roster. Carl Nassib, however,
it's retroactive. Because he played last year, it counts? Or was he gay last year when he played too? Or is he gay this year?
I think he's always been gay.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure.
He's out. Yeah. He came out and
because I feel like he hasn't played any games since he said he was gay. So.
Well, yeah, technically no.
It's the off season. You're right. He has not played, but he is on an active 53-man roster.
I feel bad for my boy Sam, Michael Sam, taking away his little shine that he had. Like, that was his his biggest claim to fame.
I first thought it too. I was like, well, he was in the NFL but he didn't make it into the regular season. He was never on a regular season.
He played preseason games. That's it.
Right.
I just hated the ESPN tried to milk that situation.
Well, Michael Sam, yeah, that was gross.
Yeah.
The way they handled that project, that was really gross. I didn't like it at all.
Right, with him and his boyfriend were making out for every time they cut back to them. They were like making out deeper. Like, whoa,
kiss him harder.
Kiss him harder. We're coming back.
If y'all have ever watched The Cut or any of Cody Ko's videos, and him when he talks about The Cut, the producer for The Cut was probably there, like, kiss him, pull his pants off.
We need a juicy one. We need a juicy one here. In 5, 4, 3.
But back on topic. So Carl Nassib did something that was, it takes a lot of courage, and he went about it the right way. He's like, look, I'm not doing this because I want popularity, because if most of you that follow me know I'm not very active on here. I don't like being in the spotlight, but I feel like it's important for me to come out and out myself and let it be known that, athletes can be gay. It's okay to be gay. He had quoted something. I don't believe this was from the Trevor Project, whom he later talked about and donated money to, but he had said that one of the studies showed that it only takes one supporting adult for a young gay youth to change their views on suicide, lengthen and make their process easier. So he's like, this is the whole point behind this. I want this to, I want to help the youth, because I actually have had a very easy life, but after becoming aware of how hard it is for the gay youth in the country and how high the suicide rate is and the bullying and all that type of stuff that goes on, he's like, I want to help. So that's why he then went on to make that donation. But it just felt very natural, very very pure. Maybe not natural, because coming out on social media in front of hundreds of thousands of millions of people is not a natural thing to do. Yeah. But the idea, it was a pure idea behind it. So I respect it very much. I like what he's doing. And it's a big deal, as many people that jumped on these NFL pages and all this type of things, like, who cares? I don't care. I'm going to come out straight. It's like, shut up, man. Like, stop. Like, you didn't live this life. It's like white people, like, trying to tell black people, what it is to like do this. Like, you can't tell someone.
It's a little different.
But well, yeah, it's starkly different. But I'm talking about I'm talking about from this perspective of talking into someone about their experience.
My only question is, how good is he, and how safe is his spot on the roster? Because there's still a chance that if he's not an exemplary player, that he gets cut.
I highly doubt they cut him.
Yeah, I mean, he's been decent.
He's a solid defensive end, but also remember, I mean, who we're talking about, Mike Mayock and
John Gruden.
John
You
Gruden.
forget my name, John Gruden. I'm the number one coach in the NFL.
But these are media guys, and the last thing they're gonna do is put themselves in a media storm by cutting a guy after. Now, granted, if
after he's proven,
a couple games down the road, if he's struggling and then that's one thing, but. Like, if you cut him in the preseason after coming out, the media will eat you alive.
Yeah, I think he's safe for the season. I don't think there's any way they can cut him and survive. Like, maybe he will never make another team, but I don't think there's a way that they could distance themselves from him, and they would look bad no matter what.
Let's check out their depth chart. Let me see how, because I mean, they have a decent pass rusher.
Arden Key.
No, they got they picked up Yannick, and they had Max Crosby.
Oh, okay.
They also have Cleveland Farrell, who they drafted way too high.
Oh, yeah.
He's technically their third string right end.
Third string? Oh no.
Yeah, so he is not as safe as we once thought.
My only question is, what could that potentially affect the locker room? Because while it was a great thing, while he was pure in his intention and it was a great thing to do, there's bound to be at least one or two players who are going to be uncomfortable about the fact that he's in that locker room. I mean, the same thing with like and it's not the same as Magic, but just the comfort level. Somebody might be uncomfortable. Oh man, he seen me naked or something. So
yeah. Bigots.
Yeah. I mean, somebody who might there. I mean, but it's of a 53-man roster or a 90-man roster, there might be one or two guys on there who might be homophobic.
Right. But I think he's insulated enough by society where no one's going to do anything out of pocket because they know it can cost them their career.
I'm not talking about doing anything out of pocket, but I'm just saying, like, somebody who might go to the coaches and be like, I just don't feel comfortable.
That's a quick way off a team, no matter. Like, you can't do that in this day and age. But also, you have the fact that he was on the roster last year. He's seen you naked last year, like, and you thought it was straight man. But now all of a sudden, like, I don't know, man. Especially not in this day and age. Like,
I do.
The youth is far more accepting.
My biggest question would be that, like, how much, like, because I'm 100% sure he's not the only gay player in the NFL. So I wonder if this encourages anybody else to, get that confidence to say it. Or maybe a lot of the other gay players just think, like, why does that matter? Why does anyone, maybe they are like some people think in that perspective, where it's like, my sexuality shouldn't be a topic for the world to, because at the same time, a lot of straight people don't broadcast their sexuality. So maybe that is like, but maybe we'll see some people, in the coming years be more open about it. But I don't know. I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, again, the youth is far more accepting than they were, and the society as a whole is far more accepting.
Wait, is Richie Incognito still on that roster? Because that might be the one if he is.
Yes,
it is funny though to say that the youth are more accepting these days when they're like, bullying is like 100 times worse today than it's ever been.
It's harder to escape for sure, but being openly gay and all that type of stuff is, I don't know, but just from the perspective and seeing the way the youth talks about it and how it's, it's far more prevalent now than it was even when we were in high school 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
But
let's move on to the next topic on this one.
I was just gonna say, knowing that Richie Incognito is on that roster, might be. Do
you have any evidence of Richie Incognito being a bigot or that's a crazy thing to say?
Yes, the dude Jonathan Martin in
Miami.
Shit,
you're right. I totally forgot about that. And my apologies, Micah. I thought you were just being crazy because he's a crazy man. I was like, come on now.
No.
You're right. I completely forgot about that. Wow. Okay. Let me reel that one back in. You're right. Good point then.
Keep an eye on that Richie guy.
Yeah, I forgot that but wasn't that one turned out when it came down to it and they started investigating it, a lot of the things that he said Richie did that a lot of players like, no, that didn't happen. He's just making that up for attention.
I don't know. I don't know if they investigated and said that he made it up, but I do know he was bullied to him, but it was just like, I don't think any of the players thought that much of it. It was just like
they were like, I think they said that, he was bullying, like, he did treat him differently, but no one knew he was gay or something like that. And like when he came out and said, I'm gay, and he bullied me because I'm gay, they were like, wait.
Well, I know that he talked about like his sister, like trying to get with his sister and stuff like that, and
he wasn't gay.
Yeah, he wasn't gay.
Yeah, that's right.
He just bullied the mess out of that guy, and I think he called him N-word and all that kind of stuff. So it was just like yeah.
It's all coming back because that was like what, almost 10 years ago now.
Maybe
Richie's been around. Richie's been around a long time.
It might have been like 5 or 6 years ago though.
But yeah, he's got a past history of being a bully, but not so much bigotry.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, with that.
Yeah.
He's not of sound mind.
Yeah.
Developing story, as Carl.
So I'd mentioned that he had donated to the Trevor Project, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big thing. But on to another topic here. This past week, Detroit fans just can't catch a break, man. Like, even when a player is retired, like well retired, they can still come out and be like, this is why this organization sucks. Like, no, Calvin Johnson literally came out of nowhere and was like, look, the reason I didn't play there, or that the reason that, I retired is because I wanted out and they wouldn't let me go. Like, I didn't want to play for this terrible organization anymore. I was done with it. I wanted out. They wouldn't let me go, so I retired on them. Yeah. Like, they were like, he was like, just release me, let me go do something. You're not going to get any more work out of me. And the team was just like, Nah, not doing it.
We good.
Could you imagine if that story would have broke in Atlanta, like nowadays, if Julio was like, I'm not playing for you anymore, just let me go play somewhere else, like get some value out of me, and Atlanta's like, nah, we would have killed them. We would have absolutely killed them, because at least get something out of the guy that you have, get some type of productivity out of him, turn him into something.
Well, yeah, but that in like the Lions are one of the like oldest like owners or whatever.
Yeah, when he was there, she was, I think, the oldest still.
And essentially, it's like, I own you. I own the rights to you. So, and I mean, it's now granted, they didn't go as far as like the whole Deshaun Watson thing. My speculations with that, it's just like, they're not going to give you a choice. They're not going to just because you want out, they're not going to give in to you. Now, I mean, I'm not comparing it to that, because there's a lot of other stuff that happened with Deshaun that didn't happen to Calvin, but it's like, I think there's been a lot of speculation as to why he retired. And a lot of people have speculated that he retired early because they were trash. He was getting beat up and wanted out. And Barry Sanders is probably the exact same way. It's just Calvin is the only one. He finally, like 12 years after the fact, finally just came out and said it. So,
well, remember when we had Reggie on?
Oh yeah,
he had mentioned that one of the reasons that Calvin was up there, and he was just so beat up, and I'm sure there were a multitude of reasons that Calvin got out of there, but not wanting to play, being hurt for a bad team. That I'm sure that was those two were tied or married together.
Yeah, most players get toward the end of their career, and then they're like, if I'm beat up, I'm tired, but I at least want a shot to win before I go out. And Lions are like, no, you get no shot to win here.
Go sit on the couch.
Right. We don't believe in winning.
I imagine that's much more. Maybe it doesn't come to a head like that all the time, where the team's just like, no. But I mean, the nature of football is a lot more like, I don't think it's not like the NBA where some players are too proud to go join a super team. I think any player would be happy to go join a team where they can win. Like any player.
NFL?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And
you don't look at it that way.
Right. Unless you're like a backup quarterback, like it's Jim McMahon or something, you go join, the Packers. But it's like, I think,
Oh, Matt Schaub went to the Buccaneers because he wants to win? Right. That's whack.
Like, yeah, NFL players for the most part, I can see a lot of them probably wanting, but maybe not like where the team's just like, no.
Yeah. But speaking of the Buccaneers, so did you guys see the preview clip, or it hasn't aired yet, I don't believe, but Tom Brady on the Shop?
Yeah.
Where he's talking about
the Niners.
Well, that's the speculation. But he's talking about when he entered free agency, there was this one team, like pretty much everyone was interested in him, but there was this one team who was like, nah, they literally told him, like, we're not really interested in you, sorry. And he looked at him, he's like, wait, you're going to stick with that motherfucker? Are y'all sure?
Niners.
Right. And so the speculation is it's it's Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners. But there were reports during the Tom Brady free agency that the Niners were one of the teams that were interested. But it could have just been one of those things where, the media sources around them and all the team says that they're interested, someone within the organization, but truly Shanahan was like, nah, we're good. We don't want you. So obviously we know who Marco thinks it is, but Micah, who do you think that team was?
I think it could have been the Niners, but I also heard speculation it was the Saints too.
I don't think he would say that about Breeze.
Yeah, I don't think he'd say that.
Yeah, but Breeze is just as old, and he was playing. His play had started to decline.
Yeah.
So
honestly, maybe the Rams.
There's no way. There's no way.
They didn't have the money to get him in the first place.
I thought it might have been Atlanta too, because you know how Brady loves to take shots at Ryan.
But we never even heard a blip about that.
Yeah,
about them being interested in Brady.
Of course, we're not going to air it out there.
Is that
would
it
have been?
No, or are you just saying food for thought?
Food for thought, like because he said everybody was interested.
Or maybe it was Indianapolis.
Who was it?
I feel like
Phillip Rivers.
I feel like the way he said it, the precedent is like it's an unproven guy. Because I don't think he'd say that about Drew Brees or Matt Ryan. I mean, two quarterbacks who, even Phillip Rivers. I don't think obviously if you go with Phillip Rivers, but I don't think he's saying it about like a young guy who the Chargers had, because they had a young guy. He's not gonna. You don't even know what that guy's gonna bring. But we know Garoppolo is not good.
I wonder if it was the Bears.
That too. It could have been the Bears.
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky.
Well, no, you got what's his name though? Like with the Chargers though, I don't know if they had signed Phillip Rivers before.
No, it was Justin Herbert.
I think they were in on the Brady.
I mean the Colts. I'm sorry, the Colts.
I think I think you're right. I think they tried to get Brady, and then Rivers was their consolation prize.
Yeah. So
yeah, they would have wanted him. So I don't think it was. It had to be the Niners. I don't know.
Yeah, who do y'all? Let us know in the comments. Who do y'all think Tom Brady was talking about? Obviously, once the episode airs Sunday. I don't remember when the shop comes on.
Watch it be like the Jets.
Right. That bum. So you
Sam
mean
Darnold's our future? Sorry, bro. We're good.
What? I mean, what channel does the shop even come on?
HBO.
It's on HBO, yeah.
Oh.
Let's see. But yeah, let us know in the comments who y'all think it is and who was the quarterback that was that motherfucker. I don't see the schedule. I'll look this up later and I'll drop it. But moving on to the Falcons here. So OTAs just recently ended for the majority of NFL teams. Well, for all NFL teams actually. And we had talked about this before. We've seen glimpses of, kind of what the team's going to be like, what it's going to be like to have Arthur Smith as a head coach. He's kind of like Bill Belichick light when he's up there on the podium, but he's obviously well respected. The 48ers are not a team, Bryce. So there's one important. Actually, let me talk about this before I talk about the OTAs here. So your boy Sean McVay was on a podcast here recently, Micah. He was on, and I forgot his name again. He's on Good Morning NFL, Pete Schrager. He was on Pete Schrager's podcast, and he was talking to him, and the topic of Arthur Smith came up. And when he asked him about it, he's like, he's a good coach. He's a young, bright mind. And then he talked about it a little bit more. He's like, man, he's like an excellent play caller. I've been copying a lot of his plays for the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so you're telling me one of the best offensive minds in the game right now has been copying our current head coach's plays? This is gonna be fun. I can't, because the Rams are very innovative in how they move their players around, how they use them, how they scheme guys open and scheme them into their best possible positions. Like Cooper Kupp's not an excellent athlete, but he's a damn good receiver over there in that scheme. You were to drop him into a traditional offense, he would not be as good as he is. Yeah. Because McVay knows how to use him.
The fact that you got Jared Goff to a Super Bowl.
I mean, good, like that alone. Like, we're about to see how bad Jared Goff really is this year, but behind Detroit, that offensive line and
maybe it was Tannehill. Oh. Maybe it was Tannehill.
Arthur Smith was like, "Nah, I don't want him."
Who Brady was talking about? Who Brady?
I know. Okay. So I'm saying Arthur Smith. They asked Arthur. They're like, "Do you want Tom Brady to come in and be our quarterback?" And he's like, "Nope, I want Tannehill."
Right.
Maybe it was Denver with Drew Lock.
I would be John Elway would have booted. He would have put Drew Lock on a trebuchet and just launched him out into the nearest fields like a couple miles away and be like, all right, so Brady?
I'll have his head on a stake for you, Brady.
People in the town are like, you just murdered Drew Lock. He's like, no. Tom Brady? as mad as he's been wanting a quarterback, you think the GOAT would have came knocking on his door? He didn't, like, kill him. I need out of this contract somehow.
Maybe it was the Dolphins with Tua.
You know, that I thought it might have been the Dolphins and Fitzmagic. Maybe he wanted to stay in that division and really put
so he can play. So he can play the Patriots twice.
Right. So OTAs ended for us, and one of the biggest interviews of the camp for me was Chris Lindstrom. And first and foremost, I don't remember in the Dan Quinn era ever really seeing offensive linemen get up there and talk at OTAs. I mean,
nobody pays attention to offensive linemen.
I mean, really. So, I mean, this is a culture change thing maybe, or maybe it was a good interview and it's one of the ones they put up. But Chris Lindstrom was talking about some of the differences he saw or he's seen thus far. And, you know, granted, they don't know too much about it. OTAs are ran a little bit differently. Arthur Smith even admitted that this is not exactly how he's going to run the team. This is him getting a feel for players, him trying to give them basics and, you know, get them acclimated to the environment. But it's not a true representation of what the team is or what it's going to be or how it's going to be ran exactly. So this is more like a get your feet wet, see what's going on, and we'll start to really build the foundation for this team here. But Chris Lindstrom mentioned that there's a few differences in like the scheme. You know, verbiage is a little bit different. They in this offense they may call it this, whereas in our old offenses we called it that. He's having that period right now where he's like, all right, this in this offense and this offense are the same thing. They just call them two different things. So that's the big thing for them right now. But the scheme tends to be very similar to what we ran with Sarkisian, with Lindstrom at least, and you know with Shanahan before that. So we're still going to run a wide zone or a stretch zone or an outside zone based running offense, and it's something that he and the majority of our offensive linemen are familiar with, and they think they can all thrive in. Because if any of y'all are familiar with Falcons offensive linemen, we tend to be a little bit lighter than the rest of the teams where we don't have these big maulers. We don't get out there and just punch people in the face and run them over. We want to have guys that can get out in front of the play, set that edge so we can get, you know, an offensive lineman going downhill against a secondary player or a linebacker and, you know, get the favorable matchups on the edge for our running backs. So the offensive line seems to be pretty comfortable with it, and it's one they like. The thing that stuck out to me the most was the fact that I didn't know this, and maybe some of you did, or, you know, and you guys in here, maybe y'all knew, but apparently Arthur Smith is a former offensive lineman in his time in playing. And the way he runs his team and the way he runs his offense is from the offensive line's perspective. So he, you know, his plays, and if you go back and watch some of his highlights and some of the plays in Tennessee and in Washington for that matter when he was there, the offensive line is playing in a way that's setting it up to be favorable for the rest of the team. Derrick Henry had some of the fewest yards per contact behind the line of scrimmage. All of his yak came at the second level. He was running free most of the time because of the way that he was schemed up. You know, Tannehill was able to run behind moving offensive linemen and give him time to get these double moves open for his receivers and these things like that. So it's very exciting to hear offensive linemen who are good at this talk about how the coach is already implementing this. And I've always been of the school of thought that you win by building a good offensive line and a good defensive line. You win the trenches. And that's not like an uncommon thought, but it's one that in this modern day and age, it's not always the way teams are built. So I'm very excited about that. And it's just a cool thing to me. So with all that being said, I know that was very long-winded. Let's take a look at the depth here on the Falcons offensive line. And I'm going to get you guys your opinions on things, and we'll do some predictions here. So as it currently stands, I'm going to go through the first five I'll list as the first stringers listed on the Falcons official depth chart. Then we'll talk about some things with some of the players. So it's going to go Jake Matthews at left tackle, Matt Gono at left guard, Matt Hennessy At center, Chris Lindstrom. At right guard, and of course, Caleb McGarry at right tackle. So the right side of our line stays the same. Left tackle stays the same because Jake Matthews has been a stalwart there for how long is he? When did we draft him, Micah? When was
2012?
Well, who?
Matthews? He was the 2012 draft. I wanted to say 7 or 8 years.
No, he was 13. No,
Somewhere in that range. He's been here between 7 to 9. This could be season 8 or 9 for him.
Yeah, I think he was the year before we got True
2014.
Fine. Oh, 14?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I 13 or 14.
Cool. So behind them is William Sweet, then Josh Andrews, Drew Dahlman, Sam Jones, and then Jalen Mayfield. And then our third string left guard is Jalen Mayfield. Now we have some other guys across there, but these are all guys they're going to be practice squad guys at best. They may pop up and grab a second spot from someone, but you're pretty much set across the board, across the top, with the exception of left guard, it seems. So just recently here, Matt Gono was announced as having surgery. We don't know what the surgery is for. We don't know what it was on. The only thing they announced was it was not season ending, which is good news, I guess. But it also is very weird that we don't know what it is because, typically NFL teams have to be pretty open and pretty forthright with their injuries.
Not the Patriots.
Yeah, it's true. Again, Bill Belichick light.
Dan Quinn would have told you everything.
He's at this hospital. This is when the procedure is.
Listen,
room C221. It was a 3-hour surgery.
We're really pumped up for Matt Gono's surgery.
We're doing the best we can to do the best we can.
So, first question for you guys. As it's, after hearing that with the way Arthur Smith is going to be running this team, what's your opinion on that? What is it refreshing? Is this, am I making too much out of this? What's your interpretation of all this, Marco?
What of the depth chart?
Well, just the whole thing about Chris Lindstrom talking about Coach Smith, the depth chart, so on and so forth.
Man, I just think that it's a system shock to a lot of these guys to be, on a real football team after all these years of coaching themselves, holding themselves accountable, so I think it's just a culture shock and, a welcome one.
I got you. All right. So I'm going to stick with you on this one. So where do you think, where this offensive line is going to rank at the end of the season this year? Do you remember how they do at the end of seasons? Like, the Falcons, according to, PFF or all these other teams now, they were 10th in run and 7th in pass, so they're the 8th offensive line, things like that. Where do you think we're going to finish this season?
What were we? Do you remember where we were last year?
We were 23rd, I think. We were in the 20s.
In both?
Oh, well, let's see. Falcons offensive line rank. Here we go. Final 2020. 21st. We were. It doesn't tell me their passing grade, so that's just an article. But we're 21st. I think we were pretty even. I think we were like 17. Yeah, 17 in passing, like I think low 20s in running, something like that. Or
my guess would be that we are anywhere from 9 to 11 in passing, and our rushing, I think we move above 15.
So, like 10
so
to 15 range?
A little above average. That's also based on the fact that we haven't really, even though I know his trademark is improving the rushing component. We didn't really invest into any rushing pieces, so I don't know how much he can, the lack of talent is going to hold back our overall ranking in terms of at the running back position. So I don't expect us to like boost up to like top 10 in rushing immediately, but I think that it'll make enough of a change where we'll be in the upper half of the league. So I'd say 13 to 15 for rushing. I'd say we, 8 to 11 for passing.
All right, Mike, I'm going to work that question backwards for you. Where do you think we're going to wind up in the rankings?
I believe top 10 in both passing and rushing. I didn't believe our offensive line was that bad last year. It's just, like I said, there were, with the way Dirk Cutter called plays and the way he utilized the staff we had, it made the offensive line look a lot worse than it actually was. So I believe like we'll be top 10. He'll make adjustments that'll make us top 10 in both rushing and passing as far as rating wise.
And what's your impression of Lindstrom and Arthur Smith's comments?
It's not surprising though. I truly believe it. There have been quite a few offensive linemen who had turned into good coaches. Look at it. Bill Callahan, a very notorious one, and Mike Munchak. Mike Munchak was an offensive lineman turned into a very good coach. So Scarnecchia, we know about what Scarnecchia did in New England for a long time. Matter of fact, he retired and Bill Belichick brought him back because
please come back
to build that offensive line again. So and then Tom Cable did it. Tom Cable did a good job as a offensive lineman coach. He just wasn't a good head coach. So yeah, I truly believe like a coach who knows what they're doing and looks at it from an offensive line perspective, they're going to set their offensive line up in positions to do better. And if you put your offensive lineman in a much better position, everything else runs well. Because if they're doing their job, like matter of fact, when an offensive lineman misses a block, like the only way you notice an offensive lineman is when they don't do their job.
Right.
When they're doing their job, then it's just like, oh, the play runs smooth and nobody ever pays attention. Nobody ever says, man, that offensive line is good. It's just, no, the play, what the play you call works out to not necessarily perfection, but you get what you get.
Yeah, you're allowed to attempt that play because the offensive line is doing their job.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think because he has that perspective, he's going to put our offensive line in a position, in a much better position to succeed, which will make our offense overall better and more likely to succeed.
Yeah, I think you and I are kind of on the same page on this in understanding the importance of and not to say you're not, Marco, but
why are you coming for me, Ryan?
Mike and I I knew Mike and I would agree on this because we when we build teams on Madden, we talk about free agency and all that type of stuff. We typically are in lockstep when it comes to building the line. Build the line first, then get these players because a good offensive line can make average receivers look better, make average running backs look better, make average quarterbacks look better. It just both sides. If the defensive line is good, like we talked about last week, the secondary is better. Yeah. The offensive line is good. Everyone's better on offense. So,
yeah. But and my thing is serviceable skill players, running backs, receivers. Those are a dime a dozen.
Right.
You can find those anywhere. But and if that offensive line is doing their job, yeah, Mike Davis might not have a season comparable to Derrick Henry where he's challenging the rushing record or nothing like that, but he can Mike Davis, if our offensive line does their job, can Mike Davis have a thousand plus yard rushing season? Absolutely.
Well, we'll touch on that here in a second because I got an interesting piece. That's what I was looking for when you were talking earlier, because there was a very interesting thing that was said on Twitter earlier by reported on by Knox Bardeen. But
Noxie, what happened to Knox?
Oh, Noxie, I know, I miss him. He was really good. I don't
know
know
the militant point of view.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm thinking top 10 for top 5 for passing still, because you still got Matt Ryan, you still got Calvin Ridley, still got Pitts, who's apparently just everything we thought he was supposed to be, and then some, just from the reports from camp. And I think I've talked about this before. I think we have such a unique mix of running backs that no matter what we're going to be doing, we're going to be able to do something with it. So I think, top 10 for sure in both. Real quick before I get to this Knox Bardeen thing, who is the guy that you think is going to be the biggest surprise on the offensive line? You don't have to go too deep on it. Just who do you think it's going to be, Micah?
That's tough. Either I want to say either Gono or Hennessy. Even and part of me even wants to say McGarry, because McGarry has gradually gotten better. Part of me wants to say the year 3, whatever, he takes that stride to the next level. But I don't know what's going. So I'm just gonna say McGarry because, like I said, now he took a lot of flack last year because he had the one bad game against the Saints. But for the most part, he did a solid job last year. So I think he continues to get better, and especially under a coach like Arthur Smith, who knows what he's talking about. And like I said, it's going to put his players in a more favorable position. I think he'll take his game to the next level.
Yeah, I think McGarry's a good pick. I think it may take a little bit longer than I'm expecting, but I really feel like Mayfield's going to come in and probably win that left guard spot because he's going to be a really good run blocker. He's very aggressive and can get out and move with it. But Marco, who do you got?
I'll say McGarry too. I think just because certain deficiencies that people saw, like his inability to sort of contain speed if they get by him and things like, I think his metrics also, like I think his side of the line allowed, the most pressures. I think people have a skewed perception about him because of some of those negative metrics, and used correctly, I think he'll come out and convince people again that he was worth the draft pick that we spent on him.
Yeah.
And, that he is actually a good lineman and, not just the weakest part of a decent line.
I mean, he plays exceptionally well, except when he plays the Saints.
Well, I mean, Cam Jordan is a monster.
Cam Jordan's one of the best left ends in the game.
Yeah, I mean, and Cam, not only can he speed rush, he can power rush. So it's a tough matchup. Now, the first game he gave up like 3 or 4 sacks against Cam Jordan. The second game, I think he only gave up 1. So
right. But that first game, everyone was giving up sacks against the Saints. So that was the one where Matt got sacked, 8 times?
8 times.
By the way, the Braves just pulled within a game closer of the Mets. They won 3-0.
Good.
Charlie Morton pitched 7 scoreless, struck out 11, 2 walks. Will Smith, 1 inning pitch, 0 unruns, 0 Ks, 0 walks.
Thank goodness.
But Dansby was the difference in that game with his 3-run shot.
Because Nikki painted a picture of him.
Right. That's such a good picture. So let's move to this. What? I don't know what just happened. My phone just freaked out trying to bring up Twitter. All right, here it is. All right, so Knox Bardeen said when Archer QB16, which is Dave Archer, for those of y'all that don't know, former Falcons player, analyst. He works for the Falcons now. He does their their pre-shows. He does
Game
in-game.
commentating.
Yeah, game. I mean, he's everywhere for the Falcons. He's on their YouTube channel. He's just a very, very, very bright football mind. But he says, when Archer QB16 dishes on the Falcons offense, he brings it. He shared thoughts with 92.9 The Game on Mike Davis, Quadri Allison, establishing the run game and what must happen up front in 2021. Go back and look at the games that Mike Davis played against Atlanta a year ago. He's very physical. He got after you. I think you're going to see a lot of that from him. He averaged 5.35 yards per carry in 2 games against us, 29 for 155, by the way. Get ready for Quadri. He's not had an opportunity to show what he can do. He's a guy that I did about 7 or 8 of his college games at Pitt. This is a guy that has outstanding vision. He runs well between the tackles, and he has enough burst to get to the edge. I think there's enough in the running back room that you're going to get some good play out of those guys, but obviously it's about the big guys up front, about the perimeter blockers providing opportunities. So, after just talking about the offensive line, and now with that support from Dave Archery, obviously, he is a homer guy. He's going to have a little bit of inflated view.
And he's an ACC homer.
Yeah, I mean, but, a lot of us watched that Quadri tape too, and we're like, this guy's got it, and then just disappeared when he got here. So, what are your... Yeah, I mean... Man. So, what are y'all's guys' expectations for the run game this year? Who do you think is going to be our leading rusher? Where do you think we're going to... I mean, granted, I know we talked about where we were going to fall as far as the offensive line rankings on these blocking stats. But where do you think we're going to land as far as running? Because we all know how important that is for Matt Ryan and the rest of this offense to really get going. Micah, what you got for us?
I believe we'll finish somewhere in the top 10 rushing wise. I have a lot of faith in Quadri Allison. I got a lot of faith in Mike Davis. Now, like us, and they're not sexy names. It's not Derrick Henry. It's not Christian McCaffrey or even like Saquon Barkley, but they're serviceable backs, and they don't have a lot of mileage on them because they haven't played a lot. Now, Mike Davis has played some, but he hadn't had too many full seasons. Like, it's not like where Michael Turner was in Atlanta, where he had like several 400 touch seasons, and last year was by far the most Mike Davis has had in a season, most touches he's had in a season. So I think even if we do running back by committee and they kind of share carries, I believe we could finish in the 1,800 yard rushing mark, and which would put us top 10. Or at least 1,600. I believe like they could split, and whoever gets the predominant carries. Which I think at this point it might be Mike Davis, because he is the most proven, and he has he has hands out of the backfield. He might finish with a slightly over 1,000 yards rushing, and Quadri might have 700, and then you're gonna have Cordero Patterson's gonna have however many. So like I said, it's running back by committee, and I believe we can put up be fairly effective with the run game.
So you're saying, let me write this down. Micah says top 10, and you say 11 for Mike Davis. 1,100 yards is what you said?
Well, I said over 1,000, but yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Davis over 1,000. Quadri 6 to 7. That's a lot for a backup running back.
Hey.
And Cordero, you said how much?
Like I don't know. I didn't really say how much for Cordero. I just think I know he'll be more of a, he'll get some carries, and then he'll be a receiving out threat out of the backfield. He'll throw some screens and stuff to him.
Marco, what you got for for their running game.
I mean, I think Mike Davis will probably have a Pro Bowl season. I'm not going to give you like numbers, but I think that he'll relish in the opportunity to be the premier back, for a team like Atlanta, and I think he'll take that challenge personally, and he'll go into this, extra prepared to be the guy that no one thinks he can be.
And he's a Georgia guy too.
Right. I didn't know that. So that also adds to it. But, even if it's just for one season, I think he'll have a very exceptional season where, he proves some of the people wrong, thinking that he's not a number one, an RB1 in this league.
Yeah. So where do you think we finish as far as rankings?
What, in rushing?
Yeah.
Maybe like 11th or 12th.
11th to 12th. I think that's reasonable.
Oh wow.
What happened?
Devin Booker got busted open.
Forehead?
I can't tell forehead, eye, or nose. it's a cut above his nose.
Oh,
Pat Bev got him.
Oh wait, I'm about to see it happen in your future TV. Oh, here it goes. Oh, there it is.
I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna agree with Marco because I was thinking 11th. I figured we were gonna finish right outside. So 11th for rushing. I do agree that Mike Davis is gonna definitely show why he's a name that people have forgotten about, because I think we mentioned it a couple episodes ago when we briefly talked about this. He was a premier running back coming out of college, and that injury just really just set him back, and it took him a long time to recover. A long time. People thought he might have never played again. But I think Mike is more than capable of handling a load by himself. We saw it last year with that Panthers team. When McCaffrey was out, he was a load against us. He moves the chains, and he doesn't go down on first contact. I don't think our offense is worlds apart as far as talent goes from what that Panthers team had last year, because they had some good guys, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and
Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel, who is a gadget guy just like Cordero. So I think he's going to see similar boxes to what he saw up there. But it's going to be a good season for him. I mean, I would say the offensive mind of Arthur Smith is probably a little bit better just because he's done it at the NFL level for a little bit longer than what Matt Rule has, even though Rule's a very good coordinator or a very good offensive mind.
What's his name? Joe Brady.
That's right. It is Joe Brady. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
He's technically the offensive coordinator. I mean, again, a very good coordinator, but
yeah, he's still young and inexperienced.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what Joe Brady does once everyone has the book on him now, and see how good it turns out. People knew kind of what Arthur Smith was, and he still does it. So I'm going to say, I don't know if I want to give Mike Davis a Pro Bowl because there's some really good running backs in the NFC. He'll probably be in consideration. He'll be a guy that you could give a vote for, and it will be something that wouldn't be a wasted vote. But the combination of Cordero being able to come out of the backfield and be used on screens, be used to slide out and into the slot and things like that, I think it just completely changes the dynamic of the running back room that we haven't had in years. So I'm excited. 11th or 12th, I think that's a pretty solid, safe bet there. But it's something I'm really, really, really excited for, because a lot of people, especially, I'm gonna call you out, Thomas Mott. You're really thinking a little too little of this running back room, and I hope they come out and prove us all wrong. But especially you, all Motty, all hot take, Tommy. But so in the NFL world, I had mentioned it earlier in the show, a lot of weird things happened this weekend. And Bryce has actually created a new little segment for us here. And you guys won't see it, but you'll see it in the playback. And Marco, if you're still monitoring the live feed, you'll see it here in a second. But we're going to go down to a new segment we call
You're muted.
That little segment there is over. For those y'all watching, I hope y'all enjoyed that. I thought I got a good kick out of that. But Marco, are you watching it?
Oh, I see the graphic.
But there's a song going all along with it too.
Oh, I can't. I'm not gonna put the song and mess up.
But yeah. So we'll start with Tony Montana, aka Frank Clark, the defensive end for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was arrested for felony illegal possession of a firearm in Los Angeles on Sunday. He was caught with an Uzi in his vehicle and an open duffel bag by police when stopped at a routine traffic stop. So, like, I get it's LA. I get you're an NFL player. Like, protection is probably necessary. It depends on what part of LA you're riding through. Because if you're riding on like Rodeo with an Uzi in your bag, like, it's like, all right, bro, chill. Like, what you doing?
I don't know.
Pop Smoke got in a nice area.
Was it? I thought he was. Where was he?
He was like in Beverly Hills or something.
Yeah, but he was also targeted because like by those guys. Yeah. It's a little different. But yeah, I get what you're saying. There are, Buckhead is not a safe place anymore. But
right. Don't go to Lenox now.
And boy, Lenox is almost as dangerous as Lake Lanier.
One of the people I was in the Army with came here like this past weekend. I shot her a message. I was like, yo, stay away from Lenox. She's like, oh, it's overblown, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not overblown. She's like, I'm sure a lot of people like to go there to flex, and now they're just getting preyed upon. I'm like, yeah, but like 10 times worse than it used to be.
Yeah.
So I know there's the recency bias, but no, it's all over. There's facts everywhere that it's up at by 6 times the normal crime rate there, which is why Buckhead is trying to create its own city so they can enforce their own laws and not have to deal with
that was the current event. Kasim Reed has filed his paperwork to
run for mayor.
For mayor again. Like, who wants to vote for him though?
No, I think he's like, well, Donald Trump did it. I can do it. I know I got accused of all this and I have a felony, or I almost got a felony, but why not? We'll give it another shot. But yeah, Frank Clark, I don't know what you're doing, man. Like,
bruh, my thing is, all right, yeah, like you said, it's one thing, you just trying to protect yourself, but an Uzi? I mean, not even just a pistol or a shotgun. One of the two of those could have been a lot more reasonable to just have in the car, but an Uzi? Like,
Frank Clark's been playing too much damn Call of Duty.
Hey, I think y'all aren't hip with the culture right now. I think every rap song I listen to, they got Uzis, they got Techs, they got Dracos. So he's just keeping up with the trends, man. I'm not even mad at him.
It reminds me of that scene from Don't Be a Menace. Should I wear these Uzi with these high tops, or the Tech 9 with these low tops?
I think y'all just not hip, man. He just trying to live out here. He just trying to live out here, man.
I mean, yeah.
You gotta have the Uzi. You gotta have the AK. You gotta have the sawed off.
Boy.
In a duffel bag.
Yeah, that's the thing. What else was in that duffel bag? That's what I want to know.
Maybe he was anticipating a coke deal going wrong or something.
I mean, that's just like Marshawn Lattimore riding around with a stolen gun. It's like, wait, are you about to go? Were you on the way to kill somebody? Like, what do you do?
I don't know. Marshawn Lattimore.
It's like, why would a millionaire athlete have a stolen gun unless he was on the way to go?
The numbers are all filed off. He's like,
yeah.
I don't know. That was weird. I thought that isn't that how guns are?
Right.
So moving into not quite as egregious, but still pretty crazy. And let me see. Yeah, okay. So he did put it good. All right. So y'all know who Zaven Collins is?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
First round pick, a linebacker by the Cardinals, played at Tulsa, was one of the better linebackers in the draft. Well, he was arrested in Scottsdale for excessive speed and reckless driving. He was reportedly clocked going 76 in a 35.
Which, that's not even as bad as NFL players usually do.
Man, oh my God. So hold on. there were so many times when 2 years ago, I would tune into Tack McKinley's like lives or like videos, and like it would be like him holding the phone while holding the wheel.
While
So you'd be
driving.
like zoomed into like his dashboard, and you would just be like 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130. I'm like, what are you doing on live?
Making bad decisions.
Like snitching on yourself. Look at me. Super speeder.
After the losses, speeding.
I'm breaking the law.
There's another one that does it too now, and I mean, he's still on the team. I don't know if I should really tell on him, but I think we're okay here. Deidrin Snit does that stuff too, and I'm like, there'll be several times where he jumps on live at like 11 or like 2 a.m. like the night before a game, and you're like,
Remember when Dennis Schroeder played here? Wasn't he going like 110 or something one night? He got caught like going 110 on the highway
with the Furniture King's daughter.
Yeah. The Huff.
Yeah, the Huff girl.
Yeah, man. But like I said, y'all just aren't hit, man. According to all the rap music, they flying down the highway in exotics, and they're not going the speed limit. They're breaking the law, man. So you just being a young, rich dude.
Substitute word. I heard it in your brain. But Zaven, I wonder if he's gotten paid yet. Like,
I mean, he at least has, at the minimum, he has. How long is second year?
No, it's his first year. He just got drafted.
Yeah, he just got drafted.
Oh, no, then he doesn't.
Unless he took out one of those loans.
I mean, I think they paid him. Didn't they pay him?
Yeah, but a lot of those, you don't start collecting those checks till you hit camp.
Yeah, what is the signing bonus for?
Well, I mean, rookie camp is already, so they probably already started paying some of them. We were one of the last teams to actually negotiate with our players.
Look, what round was he drafted in?
He was first round.
First round.
Pick 17, something like that.
For NFL first round pick.
Bryce, what are you talking about? Deidrin Snit didn't get cut unless that news snuck under the radar, and Noah, I'm pretty sure he's still on the roster. Yeah, he's still on AtlantaFalcons.com. Mm-hmm. You're a liar, Bryce. $14.7 million is what the total contract is, Bryce. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, they don't have all the information, but if Trevor got a 24.2 signing bonus, I imagine they at least got the $5 to $10 million signing bonus.
Right. The question is, when does that kick in? Because I remember Randy McMichael talking about it, about how these rookies will take out money against their agents, and the interest rate is just absolutely ridiculous.
Get in advance, essentially.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. So speaking of dumb decisions while behind the wheel, the Cleveland Browns chief of staff, Callie Brownson, which is such an appropriate name for someone who works for the Browns, Brownson was charged with operating a vehicle impaired on May 27th in Brunswick, Ohio. Brownson, 31, was clock driving 55 and a 35, so not nearly as bad, but still way faster than you should be going. When she was stopped at 12:17 a.m. According to Brunswick Mayor's court records, her blood alcohol content was, are you ready for this? Y'all aren't watching the rundown, right?
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess her blood alcohol content? Did you read this?
I read it, so
okay.
Don't.
Marco,
what's the legal limit?
0.08.
0.08, yeah.
0.08. So let's say she was 1.2.
Boy, you're being generous and kind. She was 0.2150.
0.215.
So 21% of her blood was alcohol.
If 1.2, you'd be dead. You would have drowned yourself in alcohol.
I'm 100% saturation.
I'm 120%.
I am the Jägermeister. Bow down to me. I am Jaeger.
Do you want to get drunk?
Just if you hang out with me for a good time.
Kiss me, it'll get you drunk.
She just breathes on you. You're like, God, whoa, Jesus.
Oh, God.
I might have a hangover tomorrow. So yeah, like
0.2.
0.215%. So
Yeah.
pretty much
Almost.
22% of your.
Is she in jail?
Yeah, almost 3 times the legal limit.
I do not know if she is currently incarcerated. Probably not, considering she makes a lot of money.
For people's safety, maybe she should be.
She's probably still drunk. May 27th. It's now June 22nd. She's probably down a little bit.
I wonder what she was doing.
Having a good time. That'd be my guess.
Well, she left a little early for a good time.
12:27. I mean, you can, if you start drinking with the girls at like, or even the boys. I don't know.
9 o'clock.
Like, if you go out to dinner at 6, 7, and you just 12 o'clock,
11.
you're pretty toasted.
11:45.
Yeah.
That new dude from the gym hit her with the text.
You up?
You up?
Yes,
Like,
I am.
Yes.
I'm gonna come over and just give me 14 minutes. Do I need to get you an Uber? No, I got this.
I got it.
Oh God. I don't know why my drunk had a bilateral lisp, but they did.
You're
So
supposed to hiccup like in old school cartoons.
oh God, it was just Looney Tunes.
That was usually Tex Avery.
All right, so in a little, well, not quite as amusing news, the Minnesota Vikings defensive tackle Jalen Twyman was shot in his hometown of Washington, D.C. on Monday, suffering non-life-threatening injuries. Twyman, a Vikings rookie who played at the University of Pittsburgh, was in his car heading to visit his aunt when he was shot 4 times. The 21-year-old was one of 4 men injured in the shooting just after 5 p.m. Thankfully, all of their injuries are non-life-threatening. But I remember the news breaking of this. It was, it was unclear what he was involved in. It was just, at first they're like, oh God, he just got shot 4 times. The outcome was not good. But they say that he suffered superficial escape wounds. So apparently it caught him in all good places, like, or exit wounds, not escape wounds. So,
The bullet came in and started trying to get out.
No!
No, get me out of here!
It sounds like it caught him in, some places that probably aren't too bad, like nicked him or maybe caught him.
Caught him in the arm, like
Right.
grazed the arm or something.
Yes.
That is just so like sometimes like the god of getting shot, like it always baffles me. It's like some people can get hit 7 times and not die. Some people get hit once by accident and are gone. It's like, you know what I mean? It's such a weird thing.
Oh, so Bryce is saying the police are reporting that he was an innocent bystander.
Well, obviously, I mean, what else?
Man. Bruh,
Was he in a shootout? Like what?
I'm sorry, but that's the worst thing about it. And it's just like, bro, who's shooting? Like, who are you trying to shoot that bad that you fire that many rounds, that you injure that many people, and it's just folks standing around? Like, goodness.
That hip hop
I mean,
music.
again, have you been to Linux lately?
Yeah, I mean, but it's like they took Frank Clark's Uzi and just firing into people.
And we're full circle.
Where did he get shot up again?
DC.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, DC's not that great of a place.
not even close.
Uh-huh.
So it's not that surprising. They're like, oh, the capital's there. It's like, yeah, but all the surrounding areas are
It's
not too great.
Baltimore's evil twin.
I mean, evil twin?
I
don't know
mean,
if
they're both evil, but
Right. Like, I would say Baltimore's a pretty terrible town. Tooted and booted. But yeah, that does it for NFL news, and that ends Crime Time, which will not be a regular segment, but in the event that we do have a multitude of crimes or just weird crime-related stories.
or any more Sean Lattimore updates.
Yeah,
or
whenever.
Saints news in general.
Ooh. But yeah, that does it for the Grits Blitz, and leads us to the lightning round. If we got anything, gentlemen, anybody got a question, or even we could throw it back to the recs, the suggestions, anything along those lines.
I kind of have one. I don't know if y'all can answer this or if it might be too complicated.
What are you calling us, dumb?
Nah, it was. So I thought about another, like just a movie, like a movie that you watch and you just kind of really can relate to it. Just the concept of it, like I feel that movie because it, kind of, like you said, just kind of just relate to it.
Avatar.
You relate to Avatar as a gamer?
No, not at all. That's a good question. I don't know if I.
What's your answer, Micah?
The one I watched lately and I've really related to was Good Will Hunting. Even though I'm not white and I don't live in Boston, there are certain things about his character that I could truly just kind of relate to.
Like what? I'm trying to remember the plot.
So, like the plot is, Matt Damon. Matt Damon plays a kid who's a genius.
Yeah, this is what I thought it was. I remember it now. Yeah, I just had to make sure I wasn't confusing one.
Yeah, he has his issues that keep him from really like reaching his full potential, and he's like, he's kind of stuck. He's kind of stuck being like just this South Boston guy, and that's all he wants to be. But it's like at the same time he wants to truly experience how great he is, but or his full maximize his potential, but he's kind of scared to take the risks. So there's a lot of psychology in there.
Before we move on to Marco's answer here, apparently things are getting a little spicy between the Nationals and the Phillies. Scherzer has been checked 3 times today, and apparently the manager can keep asking to have them checked. So after each inning, Scherzer's being checked, and Scherzer stared down the dugout. And if you had to guess who came charging out of the Phillies dugout, who do you think it is?
Bruce Hooper.
Marco?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that answer as well.
Joe Girardi. Their skipper was like, "What do you want, Scherzer?" And went after him. Oh, this is getting interesting. Yeah, man, this substance chat thing is getting a little. Actually,
considering it's Joe Girardi, it doesn't surprise me. I could see him just being like every check. Oh, 3. He got 3 up, 3 down. Check him. 4 batters up, 3 down. Check him.
Trying to get him off his rhythm.
Yeah.
Marco, do you got one?
I would say it's like I find such a hard time like ever really relating to the characters I'm watching, but what's yours? You got one?
I know there's one out there. I just can't think of it.
Yeah, that's why I was just like, it's kind of a hard thing to just off the spot. And the only reason I thought of Good Will Hunting is just because I watched it recently.
What's that one? I feel like Luke Skywalker. Don't look at me like that, right?
I just immediately thought of your dad as Darth Vader. That's why.
Maybe he's Anakin.
I feel like Luke Skywalker. Like, you fight for the good of everyone, but you don't really get the reward. Han Solo's punk ass come in, take your girl, the girl who was your sister, but not really your sister. That's not the part that.
Am I Han Solo?
No, you're not Han Solo. That's not.
Nah,
no,
your sister, but not your sister. I know. I know.
Yeah.
Ryan, there. I could see what's the name for you.
You're Luke. I'm R2D2.
You're C3PO.
Nah,
You got all the information.
But nah, I could see as far as like just a movie that could kind of go with you is like Blue Chips in a way. Even though you're not like you've never seen Blue Chips?
Remember we talked about this. I've never seen that movie.
God.
Yeah, I hate the way that movie ends. Like more than any other movie I've ever seen.
I know what movie I can relate to. Unbreakable.
We should do Blue Chips.
Let's do Blue Chips since I've never seen it.
It's a good movie.
Shaq
Penny Hardaway. I didn't mind the ending.
The ending is so unrealistic. It's bullshit.
I
figured, but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if I can relate to that. I'll get out of here on a quick rec. If those of you who are still listening, and there's seems to be a couple of y'all in here, we appreciate y'all sticking around. If you haven't already started watching it, watch Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness! We're two episodes in, and it airs every Wednesday. And those 2 episodes blow WandaVision out of the water, blow Falcon and Winter Soldier out of the water, and at least in my opinion. The acting is, you have Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson too, are like your 2 main characters in this, and everyone else they've casted for their side characters have been excellent as well. But the directing, the plot, the just everything about it is so. It feels like you're watching a movie. It's so well done. It is so well done.
It's crazy how they jumped into the story that far along in the story this quickly.
Man,
that's
and
a
it felt
better one.
Seamless.
I feel like Spiderman because I'm a nerd, and then I got bit with the guitar bug, and now I'm a hero.
So Spider-Man, which version?
You're are you
Tobey Maguire.
Oh, you're Toby?
Yeah, I'm Toby.
You're not
look much older than you should have been in high school.
Who's that 20-year-old saying he's a senior?
I'm 15.
That guy's at least 30.
All right, y'all. Let's watch Loki if you haven't already. It's excellent. Throw us some recs in the comments as well. Follow us on Instagram. I know y'all have been seeing it throughout, but drop us a line anywhere. Tell us what we should be watching, what y'all want us to do, what y'all want us to watch, what y'all want us to react to. We are definitely still interested in doing that. It's just sometimes life happens.
Mm-hmm.
But we appreciate y'all as always. I'm Ryan, joined as always by Marco and Micah. We are Fish and Grits, and we are out of here. Peace.
Peace.
And if you like Fish and Grits and all that sports shit, everybody let me hear you say, oh yay. Oh yay.